Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, Kojima May Cry.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go!
Cue the music. Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always are the Destructo Bros.
What's up, everybody? Nathan here.
Hey, it's Lily. How you doing?
Boys, we got a guest this week. Someone who paid their hard-earned cash to join us here. And they're also a good buddy of ours. Everybody welcome Mr. Puzzles himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the beautiful Dane. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing good. And just so you know, you can live the dream too. All it takes is $20, couple shots in the mouth. You can get anywhere you want with these guys.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Gentlemen, it's been a couple weeks since I believe that we've gotten together. So I'm going to start with my right. Nate, how you doing? What you been up to, my brother?
Hey, good. It's been a good couple weeks. I guess nothing too super interesting going on. I finally 100%ed Kirby in the Forgotten Lands while we've been out, which was a really fun game. And like, it keeps throwing more stuff at you, which I was surprised by. I thought when I beat the game and rolled credits, that was going to be it. But there's a lot of post-game in it, which I was surprised and thrilled by. And then I guess the other thing is I finally picked up a racing game because I've been wanting one for a while. So I grabbed Forza Horizon 4. And dude, this is like everything I kind of wanted in a racing game. It's not complicated at all. The controls are simple, easy to understand. It's a fun little race game. I got to put my own custom license plate on my car, Turtle 69. And
Great.
It's just fun. Like I kept it on like the standard difficulty mode, and now every time I do a race, it's like, hey, you're doing above average, why don't you up your difficulty? And I'm like, no, I like winning.
Nah. I know, I'm the same way, bro. So I have also been playing that, and it's a blast. Did you get the gold edition or whatever?
No, I bought the standard. I might have to buy some DLC if I keep with it.
If you keep with it, get the Lego DLC. It is so fun driving around the little Lego land, and then when like you crash into something and it just explodes into fucking Lego pieces. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and like I like how it has kind of like arcadey features while also being a somewhat serious driving game at the same time. Like I like how it has kind of like the Tony Hawk style of chaining combos of stuff together. Like you can do a drift into a near miss of another car into a destroying the fence. Like it just does a lot of fun stuff like that, and I've been really digging it.
Have you had a season change yet?
I'm in autumn now.
You're in autumn? Oh my god, bro! So I'm in a supercar doing something, and it switched over to winter. So all of a sudden there's snow everywhere. And I don't know about you, but like driving a supercar on a snowy road, bro, there's no fucking, I'm doing 100 miles an hour with no traction, just like swerving all over the road, just trying to keep straight.
Yeah.
Just skating along.
I'm still really early in. I only have 3 cars right now, and they're like the ones that you get, like, pick your first car, and I picked the Audi TTS because I didn't want to be a douchebag in a Dodge Charger, and who wants a Ford Focus?
That Dirge Charger.
And then my second car was the off-roady car I picked, and I picked the Subaru. I don't remember the name of it. And then it gave you another car for more off-road stuff, and I picked the Ram 2500 Power Drive or whatever. So, having fun with those 3 cars.
Oh yeah, dude. You'll eventually start racking up some money, and then you can start buying some.
I have enough to afford cars, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel like spending my money. It's the problem in every video game. I don't want to use my resources for anything.
Hoard it all. You might need it later.
Exactly. I will need 700 megalixirs for the final boss.
Just wait till they start throwing barn finds at you. Have you gotten that far yet?
No, I've heard, like, they've mentioned it before, but I haven't gotten one yet.
Okay. Eventually, it'll like give you one. It'll like give you an area to go look in or whatever. It's so fun. I love it. I've done 2, so like they're few and far between, but they're just a blast.
Yeah, it's been a really great experience. I'm loving this game. It made the list of things that I might pick for next week's episode, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So anything else you'd like to touch on?
No, I'm good.
No? All right, then we'll go next, and then we'll go Willie. What you been up to?
I can't remember what I talked about last time.
Kirby, mostly, I think.
I think, yeah. Kirby.
What's that? Kirby, yeah. I re-downloaded a Doom mod called Contra Doom recently that's really fun. It's basically the weapons from Contra, especially Contra 3, and it basically arcades up the mechanics of the game a lot to where it's like you basically die in one hit, except on I'm Too Young to Die and on Nightmare. And the enemies only take a few shots. You don't have to worry about ammo, but you have like the Contra spread gun. You pick up weapons, there's points, and you get lives. So like if you get enough points, you get an extra life and stuff. And I was playing through it on Nightmare mode, which thankfully in that game, in Contra Doom, Nightmare mode doesn't have respawning enemies, so it's not as bad as it is in regular Doom. But I was playing through my favorite Doom mod on Nightmare mode, Scythe. And I actually finished it all, including the last level, Fire and Ice, which I have never beaten in actual Doom outside of I'm Too Young to Die because it's like a ridiculously long, hard level. It took almost an hour to beat.
Wow.
Damn.
That is a Doom level.
It's a roller coaster. But I had a lot of fun with it. Like, one of the cool things about Contra Doom 2 is it comes with a MIDI WAD too, so you can replace all the game levels with Contra music. Or the cool thing is if you run Heretic, the kind of fantasy Doom style game with that same WAD, it plays Castlevania music instead.
That's awesome. That's a really good touch.
Oh yeah.
The first time I actually played through Heretic, it was with Contra Doom, and it turned me from being really cold on Heretic to actually liking it. I think the Castlevania music went a long way.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Vampire Killer.
Yeah.
The Heretic, that's the one that's like Hexen and Heretic, right?
Yeah, Heretic's the one that came before Hexen. Yeah. It's about the same people, Raven Software. And Hexen is a little bit more puzzly and a little bit more adventure-y, whereas Heretic is a little bit more like just a reskinned Doom game.
Okay.
But it has an inventory system and a couple of improvements over the original Doom engine, such as the ability to fly and things can pass over other things. Not rooms, but actual objects can pass over one another. Like you can jump over a monster, for instance, which is not something you can do in the classic Doom engine.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Doom nerd shit, it's me in 2023.
Let's see. Anything else you'd like to touch on, my good brother?
I didn't watch all of it, but I watched the men's Royal Rumble, and I really, really enjoyed that. Like, I love big dudes hitting each other quite hard, and we got a long appearance from several of the best in that. And you sometimes get one of the coolest things you've ever seen in your life, and that's what we got towards the end. So, just really incredible stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. You know the spot I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And we're about to talk about it here for a second because now I want to go ahead and preface. Me and Jeremy covered the entire Royal Rumble on Yapspot this week.
Okay.
Which is why Jeff was like, I'm glad you guys really enjoy wrestling. That shit's so boring to me. I'm like, oh, well, then Jeff was bored for about a fucking hour of the show. Sorry, bud. But so one side of the ring, Ricochet, known for his high-flying shit. On the other side of the ring, Logan Paul, who recently had that iconic ass picture of him diving towards Roman Reigns. Like, I say iconic. It was iconically shot. Like, it was presented as like, this is a moment in time type thing.
Yeah.
So they just started.
We're talking about, at the ring ropes, outside the ring on either side, just shouting at each other.
Yeah. To me, it came off like Ricochet was like, "Oh, you trying to do the jump shit? That's my shit. Get out of my house. That's my shit." And Logan Paul was like, "Oh yeah, you jump? Let's do this. Let's do this, baby." And they both jumped up and did springboards off the top rope and leapt probably 10, 12 feet off the fucking mat into the air. And there were two really loud sounds. When they hit each other in the air, you heard the meat slap together, just like
Yeah.
boom. And then you
Gotta love a
heard
good meat slap. Mm.
about 2 seconds after that, a sickening thud as they both went, woof, and as they hit the mat. And it was just like, oh shit. And they replayed it like 3 or 4 times. Like, yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell they thought of it as one of the big moments, but you could also tell that they were almost a little afraid to linger on the shot because they're like, if they don't get all of this is not going to look super cool. But they got 100% of it. They hit like perfect crossbody X, chest on chest, belly on belly, and just like vroom, their limbs flopped over each other practically when they impacted. It was crazy.
But when they hit that ring, dude, that thud, I was like, oh. Because I know from setting up rings, I know how little padding is on that motherfucker. It's like, God, I bet that knocked the wind out of both of them. If not the impact in the air knocked the wind out of them, and then they hit the ground, which then also knocks the wind out of them. But,
yeah, that was totally awesome.
It was good stuff for sure. What about you, Dane? What you been up to, buddy, the past couple weeks?
Well, I have been playing an embarrassing amount of Sonic Dash on my phone.
Cool.
In my defense, 3 weeks ago, my daughter was playing it on her tablet, and she walks up and says, Daddy, I want him. And she points at Shadow. And she goes, he's my favorite. I said, why is Shadow your favorite? She said, because you like him. I said, don't put that curse on me.
That's
because
really
he's the
funny.
ultimate life form.
Don't get me wrong, I do love some Shadow, but it's not normally something I admit in public. So now I've put it out there on the internet. But, so I've spent the last 3 weeks grinding at this fucking game. And I finally unlocked Shadow for her about 3 days ago. She played it for 10 minutes, and she hasn't touched it since.
Yo.
Other than that, most of my gaming has been analog. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that on a video game podcast.
Absolutely.
You guys can't see it. We got webcams going on here. But I've got like 2 shelves full of board games behind me. I've got a problem.
The camera's moving.
But did you know solo board games are a thing?
No, actually.
Yes, it is. And I've been working one over. They're getting ready to release a new set for it. Final Girl. So the whole premise is you get to pick the final girl that you're going to play in a horror movie, and you get to pick the slasher film baddie that you're going to play. And you're pretty much just moving around this map trying to get out, possibly saving people, maybe not. You don't really have to all the time. And it's just a push your luck dice game. So you're rolling to try and get points to be able to succeed at something, and a little bit of hand management kind of deck builder style, if that means anything to anyone.
Yeah.
So if you ever played something like Dominion, but it's instead of having a full deck, it's just like a little hand of cards. They're getting ready to release Season 2. It's supposed to be shipping out in the next couple of weeks, so I figured I'd try and catch up on that. So if you got more money than sense, that's a good one to look into.
That's a really cool premise for a game. The moment you said Final Girl, I was hoping that that's what that meant.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that concept a lot.
It's pretty much a reskin of one that they made called Hostage Negotiator, where you're trying to negotiate hostages out of a situation. So if they kill more than half the hostages, then it's a game over, and each one has their own special in-game scenario. So you go from just your standard, he's a terrorist, he's just doing this because he's evil, to one where a guy's kidnapped people because he wants to get money for his son who's in the hospital. And instead of killing hostages, he just makes it get closer to a fail state. And if you do fail, he kills everyone, then himself, and that's your lose state. And you're trying to get him to just let everyone go. We'll pay for the kid's surgery. Just trust us. We won't arrest you. Snipers.
Take the shot.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Board games alone.
Well, that just made it sound sad.
I would like to give a shout that Nathan is the only one in this call who has not had a birthday since the last time we recorded. Legit, because I think I had a birthday, then Willie had a birthday, then yesterday was Dane's birthday. So, like, January babies. Woo! Go us.
You bunch of Aquariuses.
Aquarii?
Yeah.
That be Aquarii for
I
the
think
straight guy?
the plural of Aquarius is headache.
I have
Plural of Aquarius is mental health issues.
I resemble that remark.
I'll have a combo 4 with cheese, an ADHD, a depression, a general anxiety,
and a milkshake.
and a milkshake.
Actually, can you make that a diet milkshake? I'm trying to watch my figure.
You can diet a milkshake?
You just get a smaller milkshake.
Just a smaller, yeah.
Water it down, maybe?
Oh, no.
Can I get the 6-piece nugget? You just give me 4 nuggets? No, sir. We have to give you the 6. Well, can you just take 2 of them and throw them away? No, we're going to give them 2. Well, how about you take the 2 and stick them up your ass? I don't want them.
The water it down solution reminds me of when they were doing Miller 64 and Bud Light 55, where it was literally just pretty much watered down beer. Not even like lighter beer, but just straight up like it's 60% beer and 40% more water.
I was going to say, was it just like beer with some seltzer in it?
But, I mean, I honestly don't know exactly how it was made, but that was my guess, because if you drank the same amount of alcohol, you still got the same amount of calories as the light beer. So
what's the point?
Unless you were just wanting a half alcohol beer, like the half calf of beers, but I don't know if anyone wants that in the universe.
Why don't you just give someone a glass of warm urine and just pour a shot of vodka in it and call it a day?
Isn't that Miller Lite?
Or Coors Light or Bud Light, any other lights? I've had an interesting past 2 weeks. What's up?
Well, if you get some pubes in with the beer, then it becomes Busch Light.
Hey.
Zing.
But don't.
Terrible joke. I hate myself.
Unless you meet a girl from the 70s, then it's probably Bush heavy. Yeah. See, I help you. Sure. Alley-oop.
Hey.
Yeah, I've had an interesting past few weeks. Not to go into all of it, but I did, for my birthday, me and Megan went to Busch Gardens and rode some roller coasters and stuff, which was a blast. I learned 2 things at Busch Gardens. One, I need to lose about 15, 20 pounds because I was this close to being too fat for everything I rode, but I fit on everything.
Oh, nice.
So, question, was this Busch Light or Busch Heavy Gardens?
Oh, this was Busch Gardens. Lots of shrubbery. And then, so that was a good time going around there, riding the rides, seeing the animals and stuff. And then the next day, she took me, my surprise was we went to Zoo Tampa at Lowry Park, and we did a meet encounter with a penguin. So I got to pet a penguin, and that was super cute. They feel awesome. I thought that they would kind of be like slick, and like for some reason I thought that they didn't have feathers because I'm an idiot.
Wait. Hold the hell up.
I thought they just had like straight like a skin, like a thick skin that was just like that color. I didn't realize they had feathers. Seal? Yeah, straight up. I like a seal. Yeah, I thought they were just like a little fucking bird seal thing.
Motherfucking bird seal.
So, 2 things. One, like I said, they feel really, really cool. And this little dude, because it was a little African penguin, so it wasn't like a big king penguin, but it was just like a little guy, probably like about a foot tall. Dude, when he would do his little thing where he would puff all his little feathers out and shake the water off, and he'd be all fluffy, I was like, oh, swoon. It was adorable. Aww. He also, he behaved while we were taking pictures. Like, I've got pictures of me and her with the penguin and stuff while we were petting it. And then, they took him over to meet the next people in the group to come like pet him and stuff. And that penguin, like within an inch, almost shit on homeboy. Like, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen penguin shit. It is like green and very loose. And I was just like, oh my God, if that had just went all over that dude.
City died of mackerel. Do that
I would have had a hard time not laughing.
Are you fielding questions about the penguin encounter?
Yeah, sure.
Did you feel underdressed compared to the penguin?
I kind of did, yeah. He looks very prim and proper and dapper, and I was just like in a shirt and some pants.
So he brought the formal
Did you confuse
attire.
the penguin? Did you confuse the penguin for Danny DeVito at any point?
No, he actually he had a different accent. He was more like wah wah wah. He sounded like whack 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 whack.
But about the same height.
Roughly the same height. I almost think that Danny DeVito's got him by like 1 inch.
It's all posture, dude.
So we also ended up at Ollie's, which is just like a store that has a little bit of everything in there, and they had some comics. So of course I got some comics. So I got, and they're trade paperbacks. So
Oh, cool, yeah.
I got Batman the New 52, Volume 1, The Faces of Death. Okay, so here's the best thing about this, right? I hate that this Ollie sticker is on there.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a pain getting it off. There's also this thing back here that's on this, right? I might leave this on here though, because the only visible thing to read on there just says on file, I am suicide. Like, I am suicide PB. So just like I am suicide peanut butter on file.
That's when you mix all the different kinds of peanut butter in your house together.
The crunchy, the all natural, the Nutella, just for shits and giggles. The almond butter. Who the hell bought almond butter? And what is this? Ground biscotti? What the?
And I also got the Volume 2 of the New 52, The City of Owls. And you'll see a trend, because then I got Volume 3, but I got this one because this is Death of the Family. So this is the arc where, spoilers for anybody who's never read this, Robin gets murked and killed by Joker. So because of a game that'll come up on the list eventually, there was another, I forgot that they did a comic series also telling this story. I got the Injustice book.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
This is a hardcover, and it's
awesome.
fucking sealed.
That looks awesome.
I'm gonna open it, unless this is worth money. But like, according to Ollie's, this bitch was $12, so it's not too bad.
I think you'll be fine, bud.
Yeah. And then the last thing I got, just because I saw it, and I'm a sucker for this character, even though he's kind of overhyped these days. Deadpool.
Nice.
Hardcover. I don't even know what arc this is, to be honest with you. It just says Deadpool on it.
May contain Deadpool comics.
Number 2. So this is, I guess, the second set. But yeah, it's hardcover, and it was $7.99. So I was like,
cool.
Dude, yeah, I was like, that's an affordable price for a nice hardcover that's actually like a decent size, and I'll be able to read it.
Yeah.
So that's
Ollie's is shit.
those.
I found tons of awesome stuff in there for my board game fucking addiction here. Like, I've got a
dude, they had
Big Trouble in Little China card game. You can't find that anywhere. I picked that up.
Oh,
for
that's
$10
cool.
in there just a couple weeks ago.
Sweet.
hell yeah. And then other than that, dude, like I said, I've been playing Forza Horizon 4. I've also been delving into some Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I did tell this story on YapPod, but I'm going to tell it again here because this is a video game podcast. YapPod is not a video game podcast.
Yes, it is.
So, 2 moments. One was there's a mission in Red Dead Redemption 2 where you're supposed to go to this place. Your buddy that you're with, Hosea, causes a distraction. You go, rob the house, steal this fucking cart, and then go sell it, right? A wagon. You steal this nice wagon that this place has. So I am trying to remember, because I hadn't played in a while, I'm trying to remember what the buttons were. And I go to crouch. Do I crouch? No. What do? I fire my pistol off. Boom! And it's in the middle of the night. I even waited, because he gives me a choice. He's like, you want to go in there during the day? You want to wait till nighttime? I'll wait till night. So we wait till nighttime. I go out there, first thing I do, boom! And just alert everyone there that we're there. So,
hey, Josiah, check this shit out.
Hey, Josiah, watch this.
Watch this. It's not one of those games where, like, it fails me, right? Now I just have to deal with the situation that I have gotten myself into. So this dude comes out like, what the hell was that? And he starts firing off randomly into the dark because he doesn't see us yet. So I just pop one in his brain. Boom. And went inside his house. And Hosea was like, steal something quick. We need to get the fuck out of here, Arthur. And he's also like, Arthur, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he's talking shit to me for messing up. So I go into the house and I'm looking around and I'm like, where would be something to steal? And I don't know why, but I went over to the fireplace.
Legit.
This is some good action log.
And he it gave me the option to check the fireplace. So I did, and I checked it. And I found $250, which in 18 something was a lot of money. And it gave me an achievement called Take from the Rich, where you steal at least $250 from somebody. And I was just like, oh, hell yeah. So I figured that was enough. Run out, go and grab the wagon, which has 2 horses attached to it. So we're just stealing this thing outright, right? So we get on it. We're riding out. Jose is like, well, we could have done that without killing people. Arthur's like, yeah, but we did it, right? It's done. So no sense in worrying about it now. And Jose is like, well, I'm just saying that could have went a lot smoother. You kind of fucked it up, Arthur. And then there's a guy approaching on a horse. And I'm like, okay, what's the button to slow down? Because I am going full fucking speed. And this guy's coming up, and I'm hitting what I would normally slow down with in the racing game, which is A. No, I'm sorry, I was using a B, and it just wasn't working. So, and I knew A speeds it up. So I'm like, oh my God. So like, Jose is like, well, this guy's going to be a witness. We're going to have to talk to him or something. And before he can even get it out, dude, 2 horses in a wagon just plow into this guy and his horse. Boom! Fucking kills the dude, kills his horse, kills one of my horses. And then Hosea just goes, well, Arthur, that's one way to handle that. And we just trotted on back. And so I ended up with this fucking 1 horse pulling this big ass wagon all the way to Emerald Ranch. So we sold it and it finished it. But I was just so appreciative that none of that failed the mission. I just had to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought that was hilarious. And then the other one was just, I'm going through this swampy area and there's just a dude on a noose. And I was looking up at him and I'm like, oh, damn, that sucks. I wonder if he's got anything in his pockets. So I pull my gun out to go shoot him down, like shoot the rope off so he'll fall down. And I just get speared by this dude with face paint. And all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by 3 or 4, like, savage looking humans with, like, paint all over them with, like, knives. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because it jump scared me legitimately, not expecting this. And all of a sudden, I'm, like, having to... Arthur put his pistol away for some reason, so I'm fist fighting these savage folk. Like, they're white guys. They're just like rednecks that are just like woodsy folk. You know what I mean? They're out in the bayou.
Playing banjo
Some of those
music.
Appalachian types.
Yeah. Yeah. I ended up having to like shoot them all eventually. Like, but it was like the point where Arthur pulled his pistol out and you're having to like, they're up in my face trying to stab me, and Arthur would like back up a little bit and stick his pistol underneath their chin and just pow! And it's, man, but you want to talk about just like a game that shouldn't have jump scares almost made me shit my pants because I'm like looking at this dude hanging from a noose like, oh man, wonder how he got up there. And all of a sudden, it turns out when I kill them, shoot him down and loot his pockets, he's got a fucking note on him saying that, man, there's people out here in these woods. They're like shadow people, though. You don't see them coming. And he basically explains that like these people have been haunting him, and he knows they're going to get him, and they finally did because they hung his ass. And I was just like, God Almighty! And that's just 2 things I've found in this large game that I'm only in chapter 2 of. Nice. So it's been a blast, man. I have something here next to me that is pertaining to our show this week.
All right.
I actually have. So our game of the week was chosen by Dane, and it was Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Now, when I worked in property preservation, I used to find things when I was at work. And one of the things I found was the official strategy guide for Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, right? What do you think is in this book? Do you think that, because like you really don't need level walkthroughs, so like what do you think is in here?
That is a very good question, because that is a thick boy for a game that doesn't need it. I hope there's like a lot of art. That'd be pretty cool.
There is a good amount of art in here, and I will say that it would probably take you longer to read this entire thing than it would to play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Long ass interview with Kojima.
No, that's a good.
I would think a list of collectibles would make sense, so it probably doesn't mention them.
Yeah.
So it's got a walkthrough in it, right? But most of like the walkthrough is, okay, so here's a paragraph or two about what you need to do in the level. Now, here's another page or two about how to complete this on each difficulty and what you need to do to get an S rank.
Whoa.
So, like, this is basically a guide to 100% the game if you wanted to. And let me tell you, I flipped through this and read some of it. And Dane, I know you have some experience to speak on this later. I don't think I got it in me for these no damage strategies or the no kills strategy or the perfect sheet strategies.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't imagine trying to play this game like that. But before we get that far, I just thought that this was a cool tidbit. And we do have, of course, ODubs, the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Gentlemen, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is an action-adventure hack-and-slash video game developed by Platinum Games and published by Konami. Platinum Games, well known for Bayonetta, and I believe that Platinum also had a hand in Nier?
Yeah.
I think they were responsible for Wonderful 101 and Beautiful Joe as well. Am I right about that?
So, yeah.
I think so.
I think it was former.
I think this is my first game by
Beautiful Joe.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah.
Hold on, let me see if there's on the Platinum.
I know they did a lot for Nier Automata.
Yeah, we got
okay.
Bayonetta, Metal Gear Revengeance, Bayonetta 2, Legend of Korra, Nier Automata, and the Wonderful 101 remastered.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, Platinum Games. I believe they also did. What was that? What was that Nintendo Switch game? The Astral Chain. Also,
yeah.
So like people love Platinum Games because of Bayonetta. Basically, is what my knowledge of Platinum Games is. So this game was released for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 in 2013, and Microsoft Windows and Mac OS in 2014, and NVIDIA Shield TV in 2016. Whatever NVIDIA Shield TV is. I'm
Beats
not
the hell out of me.
It is a spin-off in the Metal Gear series set 4 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot. In the game, the player controls Raiden, or as I thought his name was when I first saw it, Raiden, back in the day, which makes me question my whole thing about Mortal Kombat, where because the name's spelled the same, but they call him Raiden, but in this game he's called Raiden. It's just, is it tomato? I'll never know.
In the Sega Genesis version of Mortal Kombat, they spelled it Raiden like R-A-Y-Den in a couple of the games to help with the pronunciation.
Raiden this dick.
Got him!
You're going to ride Raiden's baby maker.
You're going to get Jack the Rip.
But Raiden is a cyborg who confronts a private military company, Desperado Enforcement, with the gameplay focusing on fighting enemies using a sword and other weapons to perform combos and counterattacks. Through the use of blade mode, Raiden can cut cyborgs in slow motion and steal parts stored in their bodies. The series' usual stealth elements are also optional to reduce combat. So, let's start with Dane, since you are the one who chose this game, sir. What made you choose this game? What were your first impressions of this game?
So the biggest reason I picked this one out, because remember I gave you two options, because I was wanting to do some character action. I never played this one just because, I mean, it was supposed to originally be a prequel for Metal Gear Solid 4, and then they turned it into a sequel after the fact, which made me yell bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they suddenly started memeing the shit out of this game a couple years ago, which kind of made me start paying attention to it again, and I kept thinking, you know what? It's character action, it's Platinum, it's got to be at least worth a look. And I figure what better way than to invest some extra hard-earned money in a game I already owned that can actually kick my butt in gear and load it up. So, that's the biggest reason. Just, I wanted to see.
Okay, so when you loaded it up and you started playing, what was your first impression? What was it like? What jumped out at you?
First impression was, what the fuck were they thinking with blade mode? Because it just struck me as so clunky. It slowed everything down, but once it finally clicked and you get the hang of the Zantatsu, I'm telling you, there's just no better feeling. And everything about this game says, why are you going to bother with stealth? It's balls to the wall action from start to finish. Everything in the game incentivizes you. Keep moving. It's moving, kill it. It's not moving, slice it in half. There's an enemy on that bridge. Cut down the bridge. You can do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then let's go, Nate. First impressions.
I mean, my first impression of this game come from years ago, just seeing like clips of the game itself, like from the cutscenes. Like, I have vivid memories of Senator Armstrong before ever even playing this game. Like, so I always knew that it was one of those games that was like very character heavy and very like entertaining in a lot of regards. So when I finally got into it myself, I was like, man, this is when I thought about making a host pick a few times, to be honest. So when I finally got into playing it, I was like excited, super stoked. And it's immediately lived up to that. Like, the one thing I've really felt strongly about is like the soundtrack of this game immediately jumps out.
Oh, yeah.
The first time you get to any kind of like big scene or boss or anything, it just like, it slams you with this heavy, great music. It's like very much my jam as far as that goes. And then the one thing that I thought was really interesting about this game is the ninja run ability that you have just makes the platforming in this game feel really good for the most part. It's like you don't have to think too much about it. You just hold that ninja run button and you go fast. You're like Sonic the freaking Hedgehog running in this game. Like, my first impression was like, yeah, this game feels great. It took me a while to get used to the combat. I had to look up a couple of guides to learn how to do the, how to actually parry things correctly, because it does not describe that well in the game, in my opinion. And then there was an ability that I got paid for that I had to look up how to use, which was the defensive offense or offensive defense, whatever it was called, which is basically almost like a dodge roll with an attack to it. So if you hit like A and X on the controller at the same time and to the side, you'll actually sidestep while slicing your sword. Like, that was extremely helpful to learn, that the game never really taught you. I just bought the ability, and then I looked it up later.
Did you play the tutorial?
Yeah, the first, like,
that little yellow room thing? See, that confused me, too, as far as the, oh my goodness, the parry. I couldn't think of the word for a second. I was like, oh no, what is my brain doing? The parry was that the one guy tells you to attack in the same direction as the enemy is attacking.
Yeah,
right?
All you do is you hold the direction the enemy is attacking from. So if the enemy is to your left, it doesn't state that. You had, like, I finally figured out that's what it meant later. So if the enemy's to your left and attacking, you can hold left and hit attack, and he will parry that enemy. So
yeah, you like attack into the attack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It did not state that very well at all. But, like, once I learned all this stuff, like, I was all in. Like, this game had me hook, line, and sinker real quick.
Oh, yeah. And Willie, what about you, bud?
I want to say the music also was one of the first things. Like, I knew a few of the songs because people are like, you know, Metal Gear Rising soundtracks, bitchin', Rules of Nature, and all that. Then I finally got to see it in the game, and it's like the vocal part comes in at the exact right time. Like, I don't know how they programmed it, like, so the loop would change to where the vocals come in right when you're getting to this climactic moment in this first big battle, and it really makes everything feel incredible and heroic and awesome.
I watched a retrospective on this after I had finished it, and the guy mentioned that one of the things this game's remembered for is it set the standard for that exactly, where music kicking in just at the right time during a boss fight and stuff to really amp it up. They said that this game set a new standard for that, and then games after it had to compete with this. So basically we can thank this for like that moment in Yakuza 0 where you're going as Majima when he freaks out and then rain starts. I always use that as an example because it stuck with me so hard, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's even the seamless transitions in the actual fight where the game is responding to what you're doing in the combat. Like, it can't just be timed. It can't just be the length of the song. Like, there have to be multiple versions of the song that is transitioning between, and it did it without me noticing, like, a gap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you play the same fights a few times over, you will notice that, like, the timing is not pitch perfect at the exact same moment in animations, but it's within a few, like, half a second or so. Like, the Metal Gear Ray fight, that moment that, you know, when he grabs it and then the lyrics actually kick in on that one. I've seen it have, like, just this pitch perfect moment, the moment that the quick time starts for the lyrics, and I've seen it come in a little bit before, a little bit after, but they did do a really good job matching that stuff up and getting the loops set up just right.
I think it must go like measure by measure internally. Like, it knows exactly how long each 4 beats is in that song and changes over at that, like, whenever, you know, the end of a 4-beat phrase is passed or whatever, which is still a whole hell of a lot of technical work, I imagine.
For sure. So my first impression of this game was man, what the hell did they do to Raiden? So, like, you know, my first impression, or my first introduction to Raiden was back in the day, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, like a lot of people. Although I was a young kid, I had played Metal Gear Solid 1, but it wasn't the be-all, end-all that some people... I mean, it's one of the best games I've ever played ever, right? Don't get me wrong. But, like, maybe I just have a thing for pretty boy protagonists because I liked Raiden a lot from the beginning. And I really thought that he's just gotten progressively cooler over the years. You know what I mean? And there's a reason for that, but I'm going to wait till Nate gets back to talk about that one. But so seeing him become this cyborg ninja thing, I've always looked at this game and been like, man, I'll play that one day, right? But it's been so long since I have played not Sons of Liberty, excuse me. Is it Guns of the Patriots? Guns of the Patriots.
Guns of the Patriots.
Guns of the Patriots. Metal Gear 4. It's been so long since I played that I was like, am I going to miss anything from maybe not remembering everything from that game? Which, by the way, I mean, we got a question about this later, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now, and then I'll say it again later. Fucking please port Metal Gear 3, or Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 4 to Steam. Like, please.
4 is tied so tightly to the PS3 hardware. It's just...
I know.
They're probably going to have to like, do a full-blown remake to actually be able to get that off the PlayStation 3.
Well... Kojima should use some of his... I guess it's not Kojima anymore.
Not his hardware anymore.
Because he left. Well, hell. Well, Nate, I was waiting for you to get back to touch on this. So, in that episode of Factory Sealed, I would plug the episode if I could remember which episode it was. Dane, if you have that in your chat, we were talking about it. But when they did the interview with David Hayter, when they were doing their like 150th episode, they were doing Metal Gear Solid 2. For one, I got to hear David Hayter say Dalton Suter in Snake's voice, and it was the coolest shit ever. But also, he talked about how he didn't mind Raiden being a new character and everything. Like, it was kind of a surprise to him, but it didn't bug him. But he said that he always kind of felt, and he said he never based this on anything that he talked to Kojima about, but he said he always felt like Snake represented the series, and Raiden represented like Kojima, like who Kojima would be in the game, right? And he said that he always felt that way because as Kojima got more tired of doing Metal Gear, like Snake got old. He had accelerated aging, so like, you know, he was super old and everything. And then Raiden just became progressively more badass. So like Snake becomes old and crippled. Raiden becomes a crazy cyborg ninja with a samurai sword cutting people in half. You know?
Yeah, I know one of Kojima's goals with 4 was he wanted to prove just how cool Raiden really was. And that's when we get, you know, Ninja Raiden. But yeah, that Factory Seal, it was episode 150 for anybody interested.
Thank you, sir.
I always thought that dichotomy was interesting too, because like Raiden had that rough reception at first, but I've heard it explained a whole bunch of different ways. Like they say that like U.S. audiences kind of hated Raiden, but Japanese audiences loved him, for instance. But at this point, if you can play Metal Gear Rising and not end up really like thinking Raiden is cool, I don't know where you're going. Yeah. Like he's awesome.
Yeah, Raiden's the man.
Raiden is awesome.
Jack's back.
Here's Jackie. So this game starts off like balls to the wall. Like it doesn't take long to start jumping into its shit, right? Like right off the bat, you're like in a limo with some dude. It's like the head of, is it Africa, South Africa?
It's the prime minister of an unnamed country in Africa. They have their own, like, made-up flag and stuff, I think. It was, like, Pan-African colors with some kind of symbol that they never get close enough to show you on the middle, so I couldn't identify it. And they only ever say, in Africa after that, so I think it's supposed to be a fictional country.
Okay. Well, all of a sudden... And correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been like a week and a half since I've seen this scene. But these guys just roll up and start trying to like take over the convoy. Basically, you're in this convoy with gunner military vehicles, and you start. But didn't they pull up? They pulled up on like motorcycles, or they were in a truck and then jumped out. And then
I think a dude just straight up jumps down off of a bridge or whatever.
I think they're just like cyborg running in, maybe.
Yeah,
that's right. Because then they bring in the big trucks with the concrete things to block off the the block. Okay, that's right. That's what I was thinking of then. So, and they just start wreaking havoc, killing motherfuckers. Like, it doesn't matter that they're being shot at. They're pinging away these bullets like nothing with their swords, and then they just start cutting people in half and shit. and it really ramps up just immediately. Like so,
it took me 0 seconds to go like, oh shit, that's awesome. I know this guy's a bad guy, but that was awesome.
Yes, yeah, and what's the big burly guy's name?
Sundowner.
Sundowner.
Okay,
like the guy with the Texas straw kind of comes in.
Yeah, big guy, and you got to deal with him and Jetstream Sam, right?
Yeah, that's the two that show up.
Baddies right there, big.
And Jetstream Sam showing up and doing just epic troll face right before just smoking some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude just does not give a flying fuck. And you do your best attempts to try to save this El Presidente. Or I guess it'd be El Prime Ministero. Does not work. This game really quickly lets you know that these dudes that you're fucking with are out of your league.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where Homeboy gets murked, you have to fight Jetstream Sam, and then during that fight, it is an unwinnable fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so full disclosure, everyone. I started this game at Megan's house and played like the first 3 or 4 chapters over there at her house, right? So when I came back home, I needed to catch up back to where I was at. So I just like loaded up a trainer, threw on God mode, and breezed through to get back where I was. So not only was this like playing a ridiculously epic action movie, but I had to turn that off during that fight with Jetstream Sam, or else it would have went on forever because you were supposed to die in that.
That's funny.
But what an epic like slices riding right across the eye. Now, okay, first and foremost, before we get too far, when you're going through and you're fucking slicing through all the jobbers, making your way that way, your guys' first feel for the combat, I felt it felt really meaty. It felt really good. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the game doesn't take any time dropping you right into it. Like, you start fighting some of the bad guys and, like, you start slicing them up instantly, and it feels amazing just getting there early on and doing that. The game even throws a Metal Gear at you, like, in the first chapter of the game.
Hey, here is the big bad thing from the first game with Raiden in it. This was, like, part of the final boss fight. Tutorial boss.
Yeah. And like you have to fight a full Metal Gear and destroy it as Raiden just by himself early on in the game. You're like, oh, this game's not messing around with you. Yeah. And it felt great.
Absolutely not. Yes. So I guess we all agree that the combat felt good. What about you, Willie?
Yeah, there's a lot of meaty feedback. Like everything just sploshes up real nice when you hit it. I especially the more human-shaped cyborgs, like the more like the UGs and all that were. I mean, is UG the term for a Metal Gear, or is that just the generic term for an unmanned thing?
Yeah, I think that's just the generic they use for unmanned anything.
Okay, because like some of those guys were those are more later on though. But like when you're first off fighting basically just slightly cybernetized dudes, it's like you're chopping on them. It feels awesome before you even learn the Zandatsu technique, which is one of the coolest things ever.
It's basically a glory kill from Doomsday 2016.
3 years
early.
Yeah,
it does turn everything into just a walking health pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was so good because like you could get yourself in a pinch and do that, get the Zandatsu and rip out the other creature's heart and basically refill your health entirely. That was just beautiful. Love it.
It's saying something when you're in a game and you see you're in terrible health and you see 2 guys come up at you with rocket launchers and you're like, oh, thank God, we're refilled.
Yeah. I can get to you guys really quickly and just fuck you up. I had a sick satisfaction of beating on the dudes till they started flashing blue and then going into Fruit Ninja mode and just slicing dudes into as many pieces as possible.
Yeah.
Like, just
the game counts how many parts you chop things into, by the way.
Yeah, it's super satisfying in a boss fight. Like, you know the boss is already defeated, but you could just keep holding on to the sword mode and just keep slicing until you run out of meter.
I did that every time.
Yeah, definitely. Clearly. Obviously, of course.
Not to go too far ahead, I'm trying to remember. I think the first main the female
Mistral.
you fight. Everybody here
Mistral.
seen that fight, right?
Mistral, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure because I didn't want to spoil anything. So that at the end of that fight when she freezes,
oh my God,
she's freezing, dude. I got one good blade shot in. I cut her straight across Chelsea Grin style, across the fucking mouth, and cut the top of her head off. And the rest of her froze. So she just froze there with half of her head gone. And I was like, oh, that's brutal. I think I might have taken a screenshot, like Raiden posing next to it. Hey, just
Yeah, that was the most action movie-esque kill in the game.
dude.
To the point I'm at so far, mind you. Everyone else finished the game. I only got about halfway, so I might have to pop out for some of the plot-related details. But yeah, I don't even. It was so cool. It was so awesome.
I will admit that like, because I've been going through some stuff these past couple of weeks, that my brain's pretty fried and I don't remember a lot of the story. So if anyone wants to kick in with story beats, please feel free. Because I know after this, you get fucked up by... I almost just called him Serious Sam. I keep wanting to call him Serious Sam. You get fucked up by Jetstream Sam. He cuts across Raiden's eye, fucks his eye up, slices his arm off, and Raiden's like, not again.
Well, he has to take the eye because it's a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
If he's not an eye patch at some point,
patch.
it's not a Metal Gear game anymore.
Yeah. And then after that, it's kind of like it flashes over to the cutscene where it's kind of like almost like $1 Million Man-esque. It's like, we can rebuild him. We can make him better. So now he's just like, he goes from like Lil Raiden in his suit earlier in the game, which I say Lil Raiden, when he steps out of the fucking limo in the beginning, he steps onto the ground, he puts a hole in it. Like, but it flashes over to him being in that drone plane thing, which was super cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it'd probably be super fun to ride in one of those, but I would also be terrified because you're just...
I would super crash it and super die.
Yeah. And you're just laying down in this thing like... and from there, I believe from there, you just start going through that first level where you're just kind of just running down this street, killing motherfuckers as you go along, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly?
Yeah, and that's the level where I think there's a couple bosses in there. The first one that you run into is Blade Wolf, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Blade Wolf.
And so Blade Wolf's this pretty cool little robot you fight that's like basically talks shit and is an AI and just is just completely fast and attacks furiously. Like, this is the part of the game where I realized, oh, I need to learn parry fast.
Yeah.
Because, like, trying to fight this without parrying was not happening.
Yeah, that's your first big learn how to read enemy movements fight.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was still really struggling with the parry at that point, but thankfully, he also jumps up onto the ridge and howls every time you do like 30 damage, and he summons a bunch of guards that you can Zandatsu and steal all their blood, and then you're back to good.
So that's a really cool fight, really fun. But my favorite part is how, like, a couple chapters later, or it's probably the next chapter, honestly, you come out of your car and he's with you because they've reprogrammed him to fight for your side.
Well, yeah, because he's not a malicious
dog
AI.
at that point. No.
Yeah,
he just programmed it.
He's just being forced to do bad. Then, so why not have a little robot dog in the back, enjoying your puns about bones?
He was a fun character. I liked him a lot, honestly.
I do not understand your humor.
No, he's like, I do understand your attempt at humor. I just do not find it amusing.
That's right. Yeah. I just do not find it amusing. Yeah, that fight, super fun. And I also, I liked that he joined you in as well. I guess we could touch on this quickly. Dane, you said that there is a DLC where you played as Blade, or you play as Blade Wolf, but you said it was just
it's not fun. There's the PC comes with all the DLC included from the get-go, and the Blade Wolf DLC was the last one that they released. And it's got a lot of platforming in it, but it's pretty much just giving you some backstory on how much of a bitch Mistral was to Blade Wolf prior to the events of the game. And it's a scenario where Blade Wolf escapes from the World Marshal PMC group. But he escapes from trying to go out on his own, kills one of the guys who was part of the group, and then you find out that it was all just this big coup that Mistral let him get others to kill that guy because she hated him, and now he's back under control immediately before the events of the game proper.
Nice.
But it's all very, very stealth-based, which is not what this game is about, and platforming, which with a dog is just terrible to do, so... As much as I love the character, the DLC wasn't fun.
Yeah. Just to give a really quick overview of the plot of the first half of the game, essentially. Because, honestly, there's a lot of story beats,
dive into it,
but it doesn't need to be dived into. But, a quick overview, basically, is the first part we just talked about. Then what you basically find out is they're trying to basically resurrect the war economy. Because one of the things, the whole point why they assassinated the prime minister of that African country was because like he was having such success in eliminating war in general. So they're like, no, we need war back. War's good for the economy. We're going to use that. And so they start making all these plans and conspiracies to bring back war in a wide scale like the Patriots had back in the day. And as you continue on, you start finding that they have been kidnapping children from poverty-stricken countries, just kind of kids that don't have any power, and they're basically taking their brains to make super soldiers out of, so they can train them from an extremely young age.
Did you notice on the map, the room where they kept all the brains at, the room was shaped like a brain?
I didn't notice that, no.
It's just like a little, that is totally Kojima, though.
Yeah.
Like, that is just like a little Kojima thing in there.
But that is your quick overview of the first half of the game, without getting into every single plot dip in detail.
Yeah. And then, you say that that's pretty much the overview of the first half of the game, and then the second half of the game comes at you very, very quickly. Like, I think the first 4 chapters are longer than the last 3 chapters, in my opinion.
Absolutely, they are. I think the first 4 chapters is a good 2/3, if not 3/4 of the game.
Any one chapter in the first half is longer than the back half combined. They really front-loaded this game. But, I mean, it was like a 1-year development time with Platinum.
That's quick for a game this good.
Well, Kojima their team had been working on it for, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2 years at that point, and getting all of the assets and systems together. They just couldn't actually get the game to work.
Gotcha. So I think one of the main interesting parts of this game are, like I said, are the characters. So like in this part of the game, you've met Jetstream Sam, who's kind of like your Antonio Banderas, badass bad guy kind of character. Then you have Sundowner, who's the big giant roughneck type of guy. And these are all just like, I don't know what you call like these cyborgs, I guess, like the badassest of the cyborgs,
cyber ninjas.
Yeah. And then Mistral, we had talked about a little bit, and her boss fight was pretty interesting. And then the one that you come up to right as you're learning all this stuff and is Monsoon.
Monsoon is such a test of your parrying ability because he throws chain attacks at you like crazy and does like a thing where he drops a smoke bomb and then just keeps popping out at you from different directions, so you had to really quickly react.
He is a definite skill check.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great word
for him. And I think he's a great character because he's this ninja who just loves murdering, right? But he also has all these grand ideas, and he's like philosophizing to you the whole time about the memes of being a human and all this stuff.
He reminded me a lot of like a mix between Gray Fox and Psycho Man.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but he was very cool. He was the one that, like, every time I'd swing my sword at him, he would, like, and, like, separate his body. Mm-hmm. And my sword would just cut through him. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I ended up hitting him with a rocket. And that allowed me to hit him.
Eventually, it'd give you events where you could go into blade mode and hit his head. And then his head would fly off, and you had to chase down the head and just do a combo on the head while it was on the ground.
Yeah, when you do enough parries, when you get just enough of them in the row and get the timing right, you can do the Zanzatsu, slice him in the face.
Yeah. Another thing that worked against him that I found was throwing electromagnetic grenades at him because it kind of shorted out his suit so you get a few hits at him after you've thrown a grenade at him.
I thought that would work, but I was panicking in the boss fight and could only figure out how to heal myself and not how to go into my thing to change to electromagnetic grenades. Because I noticed when you chopped the cars, he throws at you with magnetism. God, this is a crazy video game. I love that sentence. He literally stands up on the top of a building and uses magnetic psychic powers to throw a bunch of cars at you, and you could chop him in half with your katana because this game is awesome. And sometimes those dropped electromagnetic grenades, so I thought, I could probably use those to stop him from reforming, but unfortunately I couldn't remember how to use them because I didn't ever use my sub-weapons. I just had it on cardboard box the whole time.
I used cardboard box the most too, because I loved... Because the game, like we said, it isn't very stealth heavy. So what I would do is basically I would stealth kill 2 enemies and say, Leroy Jenkins, the rest of it.
Yeah. That is exactly what my approach was. I'm like, okay, I stealth killed 1 or 2 dudes. I've made this easy enough on myself. Let's go fight the big guy.
I will say there was one enemy I did not like to fight at all, that if I could stealth around it, I would. And that was the one that was called a Mastiff enemy. Mm-hmm. And they're the kinds of... They're basically like gorillas, essentially.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And they...
Oh, yeah.
And they have a lot of grab moves that were really hard to get away from. I think if I would have known, because they were kind of earlier in the game too, I think if I would have known more about like the offensive defense thing I mentioned earlier, where you press A and X into the side and you can dodge and hit them with it, I think that might have helped those fights. But sometimes they'd throw 2 or 3 of those guys at you at once, and that just felt really difficult to deal with.
The retrospective that I watched about this, when they got to that point, and he's like, oh yeah, and then they introduced these enemies, and when he showed the footage of those guys, the background was playing with the DK rap. Because they're totally like big gorilla monsters. Like, yeah. But yeah, that those guys were not fun.
No, they were my least favorite enemies in the game, by far.
When I was saying earlier that I loved the feedback you got from hitting enemies a lot of the time, I felt like landing light blows on those guys felt like I wasn't even touching them a lot of the time. But then sometimes they would get dizzied anyway, and I couldn't tell what I'd done differently.
One thing that I appreciate, I don't know if we've touched on yet, and it might be considered a Zendetsu, is at the end of the boss fights. Like there's always, it's almost like a quick time event type thing that you need to do to actually finish the fight off. And they're so epic and cool. Mm. Like that's like 2 words that just describe this game. Basically, is this game is fucking epic and cool.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking about it, did any of you get a chance to use the Fox Blade?
Yes.
No.
Then Dane, then you know. Okay, boys, the Fox Blade. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but the Fox Blade is imbued with like the soul or the power of Gray Fox.
Great.
Right. Because you can also get Gray Fox's suit and wear it if you want. The Fox Blade allows you to cut enemies up without being in blade mode. So as you're just going, it's like, do you remember that Star Wars game we played when you put in that code?
Yeah.
And you could just chop people? That's exactly what the Fox Blade does. Nice. You just run up to a motherfucker and I'll just start swinging at low-level enemies and they would just sushi in front of me. And then like bigger enemies obviously took more hits and everything, but just being able to cut through the butter like that was tremendous.
The first time I used that Fox Blade, I took out a guy's legs, but it didn't kill him. So you got this dude crawling on his stumps going, I'm still going to kick your ass. I'm like, props for the balls.
I had dudes still shooting at me with their legs and one arm gone. Yeah.
I had a Denver cop that kept crawling forward trying to take slices at me with no legs.
I like how they picked Denver out of all places to be like one of the most climactic areas of the game.
Yeah.
Quick fun fact for you that I learned. This did not come over in the English version for some reason. In the Japanese version of this game, there is a sword that is imbued with the soul of Solid Snake.
Oh, wow.
So when you use it, it will make comments. Like Snake will be like, good job, Raiden, and things like your sword will talk to you, but it's the Japanese voice of Snake. Nice. But that never got released over here. And I was like, man, I know David Hayter would have done that. Maybe not what's his fuck from Metal Gear 5, Kiefer Sutherland or whoever the fuck thought that was a good idea, Kojima. But I'm just saying, hashtag not my Snake.
We all heard about your Snake.
Yeah, we have. It's not going anywhere near my butthole.
Jesus Christ. Wrong show, gentlemen.
Sorry. But so like
no,
I really enjoyed
guys. Did you like Monsoon's voice performance?
Yeah, he was pretty good. He was really good.
Do you know what he's most famous for? He is the voice of the Crypt Keeper.
Really? Oh, from Tales from the Crypt? No shit.
Yeah, actually I can hear it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I'm looking up the voice actors now, and I'm really enjoying some of these. Sundowner was the guy that played Alucard in Hellsing, which is also one of my favorite performances.
Wow. I thought Sundowner was really well played. Like, I didn't enjoy his boss fight later in the game as much, but we'll talk about that when Willie takes his headphones off. Because I want to talk about that boss fight slightly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, playing through on hard mode did not do me any favors once I got Pat.
Yeah. Let's talk on that. What difficulty has everybody played on? Because I played on normal, and I felt like that was just the right amount of challenge for me.
I started on hard from the get-go because I thought I was a badass. And then the very first gecko started stomping my shit in.
I was gonna say, and then the game grabbed you and put you in the camel clutch and humbled you and fucked you in the ass.
Tell him, Shiki, baby.
But I stuck with it. And
Yeah.
I only went back to grind for points one time when I got to the very last level to be able to take on the final boss.
So I was happy that I never felt the need to go back and grind at all. Like, I would now, just to get some more of the upgrades and stuff so I can keep playing on that file or whatever, but I never felt like I needed to on normal mode. I felt like I got just the right amount of upgrades as I played through it.
I played normal and felt like I was running pretty much into the learning curve as anticipated. Like, every new enemy kicked my ass a couple times before I started to get the hang of it. Most of the fights felt really well balanced. I've never played a character action game like this before, or at least not since, like, the PlayStation 2 was still current. So, like, I knew I was going into this with limitations. I've never played a game by Platinum before, so I thought normal would be the perfect experience for that. I could see going into hard if you have more confidence in your skills in this genre. And you could probably also make it easier on yourself if you're better at stealth, but I didn't want to stealth because I have a badass ninja that can chop people into multiple pieces with his vibro katana.
Yeah. So when I was at Megan's house, I was playing on normal. When I got back here, I actually honestly thought this game was way longer than it is.
Yeah.
So I started a new game on easy, threw on the God mode so I could run through it. So a lot of this game I just experienced like watching a movie that was done by Kojima, which was, by the way, Kojima, please start a fucking movie studio. Like, you already make like 3-hour cutscenes. Like, just start a movie studio.
Yeah, dude, the cutscenes. The thing about this, I know you've complained about Kojima cutscenes in the past, Dalton, but the cutscenes in this game, I felt like, even the ones that were like 10 minutes long, I enjoyed the hell out of all of them.
Oh, my complaint is always just that some of the cutscenes are long as fuck. They are always entertaining. Like, there's always like some serious story going on, or just like some levity. There's always something going on in them. It's just sometimes that they are just really long.
Yeah. That's one great word that you brought out there, levity. Because like, I can't help but compare this to the only other game we played this year, which was Tomb Raider. Yeah. And I feel like this game nailed it in so many ways that Tomb Raider didn't. Because, like, you can have a story that has some weight behind it, but you still need to add some moments to let the player breathe. And there was moments that this game made me crack up, and there were also moments where I was taking the story very seriously at the same time. Like, I felt like this game did an amazing job of balancing that.
Yeah.
One thing I tend to bitch about in terms of video games is that they use very heavy materials to get more, to add more gravitas when the writer hasn't really earned it. And I feel like this game was able to handle topics like the justice of war and child trafficking and things like that without it ever coming off as we're just using this because it's the only way we know how to make a story. Like, it felt like a game that actually at least had something to
And I
say.
think that's Kojima, and I felt like this game was a very harsh critique on American politics, and I was here for it.
All of his games in the Metal
yeah.
Gear Solid series were massively critiquing American politics.
Yeah. And, like, I usually am not into that in, like, my media or whatever, but I was like, yeah, Kojima, tell him!
Yeah.
Dude, it's kind of scary. Like, I can't wait for us to go back and play Sons of Liberty, because so much of that game, of what he was talking about back in early 2000s, has come to fruition now, that going back and playing that game now, I'm probably just going to be like, holy shit, Kojima can see in the future. He's got a crystal ball, or he knows the guy who knows the guy who's 1,000 years old, or something like. Or maybe he's Doctor Who. Maybe Kojima's the 20th Doctor, or whatever. But yeah, dude, I agree. As far as Tomb Raider worked very hard to be very serious, whereas I feel like even in the older Metal Gear games, there was always something to break the ice somewhere. Be it you catch the dude who's like getting ready to shit his pants in Metal Gear 1, or you find the nudie. Dude, okay. Did any of you find the posters in Metal Gear Revengeance?
I saw a couple of them. I didn't know that was the big theme throughout.
Okay. Did you do anything to the poster?
I used like my ninja vision or whatever it was called on it, but I couldn't figure out because like it stood out, but I couldn't figure out what to do with it.
Dude, I didn't realize it's because I saw 2 of them.
You had to use blade mode on it, didn't you?
You go into blade mode and you cut the tag, or you cut the things off, and then you get to see the whole picture. And the first time I did it, I cut the things off, and the girl comes out, and Doctor pops up, and he's like, "That's my boy," or something like that.
I really enjoyed Doctor. He very
Doctor.
much amused me the whole way through.
Yeah, he's a good character, dude. But yeah, man, I immediately was like, "Oh, damn it! Now I want to go back and get all of the posters that I walked by because I was like, oh, I wonder what those are there for." Because I figured it was just an homage to like in the older Metal Gear games when you would open a locker and there would be like a half naked girl in the locker.
Yeah.
Poster of a half naked girl. To clarify.
Yeah, this isn't Duke Nukem.
Yeah. Dude. Oh man. So do you want to have Willie pop his headphones off real quick and us run through?
Yeah.
Do that.
All right.
All right. So
good with me.
We'll give you like a double thumbs up when it's cool to come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
All right.
the other major boss fights in the game, the first one after Willie had spoken, there's a double boss fight where you have to basically do a boss rush of Mistral and then
Monsoon again.
Monsoon, thank you. Mistral and Monsoon back to back. And then after that, you end up fighting Sundowner, who is the big buff burly dude. And can we just talk about how annoying that boss fight could be at times? Because not only did you have to go into blade mode to cut his shield off, you had to be extremely accurate with that. Because otherwise the shield would blow up and push you backwards, and you'd have to do it again. Like, that took me a minute to get down, but that boss fight was nothing after you took down the shield.
Well, that is one you definitely have to learn for the final boss fight of the game.
True.
Yeah. My thing with him was like, yeah, once you got his shield down, he was very slow.
Mm-hmm.
And his weapon that you get, did you?
I didn't play with any of the special
at
weapons. No, I just kind of stuck with the blade the whole game.
I carried the staff through pretty much the
weapon was
entire
very
game
slow.
until the very last level when I switched to Sundowner's scissor sword.
Okay. Yeah. And then, like, you found out at that point, too, before that boss fight, that you're having to go to, that there's planning, I think it was it Pakistan, Dalton? I believe so. That there's, like, planning to have the president of the United States go there, and there's an assassination attempt on him at the same time there. So the next chapter is, like, once you beat down Sundowner, you're like, we have to get to this special plane so that we can make it there in 30 minutes or whatever, because it's crazy. So you start heading...
Yeah, because...
Yeah, just because, why not, right? So you start heading out there, and before you get to the airstrip that you have to go to for that, you end up running into our boy Sam. Jetstream Sam shows up. And then this is its own chapter, is just one boss fight with Jetstream Sam.
Dude, I was so confused because this chapter started, right? And I don't remember what I hit, but I accidentally skipped this cutscene.
Oh no!
So all of a sudden, I accidentally skipped the cutscene, and I'm in a fight with Jetstream Sam, and I'm like, "What the fuck? What's going on here?" And I beat him, and then the whole chapter was over. I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" I skipped like almost the whole chapter on accident.
Yeah,
but that fight was fun as fuck.
That was an extremely fun fight, and like I liked the whole segment because like the thing about Wolf, who was that robotic dog we were talking about earlier, is he was originally Jetstream Sam's dog, who once you've reprogrammed, he's working for you. And so like, when you get up to where Jetstream Sam is, you just see Wolf and Jetstream Sam having this conversation together. Like you don't hear the conversation at that point, but it's very interesting. So when you beat the fight, you end up realizing how important Jetstream Sam was to Wolf, so you give Wolf his sword to hold on to
and
for the memory.
Can I just say about that sword, what kind of bullshit is it that you can ID lock a fucking sword? I mean, it still has a stabby end.
I mean, if it's sheathed, so you can't pull it out of the sheath, I assume, was the problem.
Yeah, but he already had it out.
That's a good point.
I'm not normally the nitpicky type, but that was my moment of suspension of disbelief.
I can understand that.
I really liked that moment where I might get the exact quote wrong, but like Blade Wolf looks at you and it's like, I wonder if this outcome was necessary.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man.
You made me feel for the AI. Like good.
You're an AI. Yeah. Stop giving me existential crisis, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And then from that point, you do get on the plane and head to. I was trying to remember. Is it Pakistan, or was it another country? It was Pakistan, okay. So you end up heading to Pakistan. You try to break into the military base where the president is supposed to get assassinated, essentially. So that's another just fun mission where you're running through just trying to avoid being seen. JK, you're killing everything. And getting to the next boss fight.
Can't see me if you don't have a head.
And and when you show up there, you are finally confronted by the main villain of the game, who is Senator Armstrong, who's basically the senator from Denver, which is why you were in Denver earlier. We didn't really talk about that because we found out that he was the one dealing in all this stuff and making all of this happen. So you finally get confronted by Senator Armstrong.
James E. Cornette.
Yeah, Jim Cornette. Dalton felt like he looked like.
He does. Google Jim Cornette, ladies and gentlemen. Get back to me. He looks just fucking like him, just on roids.
Yeah, I just felt like he looked like the perfect amalgamation of every terrible American politician you've ever seen. But also super jacked and muscular.
Yeah.
But then he pretty much says
then
that
you go through the boss
they don't
fights.
even have to kill the president at this point because you find out that apparently your Twitter feed is blowing up with all this shit that Raiden's been doing. So he's saying, guess what? We're going to get the war economy back anyway, and you get to be the bad guy.
But you die here, essentially. And so you end up starting the fight with Armstrong, who immediately jumps into the biggest Metal Gear you've ever seen.
Dude, thing's fucking huge, dude.
And that was a fun boss fight, too. Like, just having to avoid all the different stuff the mech did and counter-striking. And there was a ton of times where you had to go into the blade mode to slice pieces of it off so that you could end it. And my favorite part was the end of the fight where you cut off this giant piece of it and you end up picking it up. And, like, we're not talking about just, like, a 10-foot-long pole. We're talking, like, a 30-foot, like, a 30-story building size pole. And you had to swing that and go into blade mode with that to finish off the Metal Gear.
And I was like, fucking sweet. That's badass. Like, I was so happy when that happened. Like, just swinging away at that thing. Because it reminded me of my D&D character who was a Titan Blade, which was a homebrew. But he wielded two scythes. And the base of the scythes were basically the size of, like, columns that you would see outside of a big royal place. And so when I got that big ass arm thing, I was like, come on, Raiden boy, let's bring this bitch home. and went madhouse on it, dude. I also liked, and correct me if it might not have been this fight, it might have been earlier, the fight against that helicopter. But the ending thing where you had to use ninja run and run between the missiles being fired at you.
Yeah, that was a helicopter fight earlier.
And jump and swipe at. Oh, okay. I didn't remember if they brought that back around at the end or not, but another cool ass fucking moment.
Yeah.
Just these boss fights. These boss fights just had so many moments.
And also
that
worth
were
mentioning,
awesome.
all these boss fights have checkpoints within the boss fights that they're so long.
Yeah. Yeah, which is also welcome, and thanks for that, for sure, Kojima.
Yeah. So then you finally destroy the Metal Gear, and Armstrong comes out of it, and you finally, like, challenge him to battle, and you start fighting, and you're like, why are you so strong? Because, like, why is this senator so huge and strong? It's like, I played football for the University of Texas, and nanomachine, son!
Which just sums up the plot of every Metal Gear game up till that point. Just, what's going on at Nanomachine, son? Well, what about Nanomachine?
Yeah, so, like... So basically, he's just infused his body with nanomachines, and then this is also this basically impenetrable. If you hit him, the nanomachines just harden up so you can't hurt him kind of thing. Of course, eventually you do fight him, and you're able to get through all that. But it's just such a great scene, because, like, you just have Raiden wailing on him, and him wailing on Raiden in this super long cutscene, where they're just talking about all the motivation. And he gives, like, the motivation for why he's doing what he does. And then, like, at this point, Ryan's like, oh, I think I finally get it. And Armstrong's like, oh, so you're coming around, right? And he helps him, actually helps Raiden up, because he'd been pummeling the crap out of him. He's like, yeah, you're not crazy. He's like, that's right, son. You're batshit insane.
And didn't you feel just a little bit bad for Armstrong? Because he is so quick to be like, yeah, here, let me help you up. He dusts Raiden off. He's like, yeah, come on, we're buddies now. And then Raiden just flips him over. And it's just, you can almost feel the heartbreak.
Yeah, that boss fight is epic. And like you mentioned earlier, it's just a really long boss fight that it basically tests all of the skills that you've learned through the game, like accurate cuts in blade mode, countering every attack that comes at you. It does get kind of generous, giving you some of the nano web, like healing packs throughout it towards the end. But I don't know, it was just a really good and epic boss fight. And then I don't know what else to say about it, man. It was just, I loved it.
It stood out to me as, again, I know we talked about this already, but I could not get over the fact about how much he looked like Jim Cornette. And I was listening to Jim Cornette's podcast while I was playing this. So, like, I was just laughing the entire time doing this fight, even though how awesome it was. I just couldn't help but wish that there was a mod that somebody paid Jim Cornette to voice all those. Like, can you imagine? Nano machines, son! Anyway, but yeah, like the fight was great though. A great way to wrap up the game. But again, this was basically the whole final chapter. It was like a little level running up to this fight, and then that was it. And I was very surprised.
Yeah,
that was
and
it.
then just the cutscene through the ending, which I'm not going to get into because it's still a good ending. Like, you'll enjoy it if you play through the game. Like, highly recommend playing through it. So I guess we can bring Willie back in here, wrap up final thoughts, and start doing fan questions. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Did you talk about Jim Cornette?
We did talk about Jim Cornette.
We called it. I have a little bingo card I made up for myself in my head that only had one square.
Yeah. Fucking Senator Jamesy. But yeah, so you want to do some ratings, final thoughts?
Final thoughts and ratings. Let's go for it.
All right, let's start with Dane. This was your game. So
Let's see. What do you do? A 10-point scale on this?
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And we usually give it a whimsical thing, like 11 nanobots out of 10s and Datsus or some bullshit like that. Not obligatory, but if you want to, you can do it like that.
I will give it, because I mean it's not without its flaws, but I mean it's just got so much charm. I've got to get this thing like 9 sword slashes out of 10 Zandatsus. I mean, it's the little piddly slow moving points and just a few little things you can't skip slow it down for me. But just overall, I mean, it's a beautiful game, just start to finish.
Okay. Let's go with Willie. What about you, bud?
I mean, I think, like, I didn't finish it. Like I said, I'm only at the halfway point. I intend to play it, and this is absolutely one of those examples of everything I wanted it to do, it did extremely well, and playing it felt better than I imagined, and I already imagined something that felt really, really good. Especially the music game coordination, the actual feeling of slashing stuff up. I don't know, like, I found myself enjoying the plot a lot more than I expected so far, because I expected it to be kind of a little bit over the top, silly, and action movie tropey, but also kind of serious. But it nailed both of those sides in a way that was a lot better than I expected, having only experienced the game in memes, which is a hilarious word to apply to this game. But I think my first instinct, and one that I really hadn't come off of since I was like 10 minutes into the game, was to just mark it 9 Blade Wolves out of 10 Sundowners.
Alrighty. And Nate, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I just have to say I absolutely loved this game. Like, it was everything that I had hoped it would be, like Willie said. Like, the mute sound direction was amazing. I think graphically it holds up pretty damn well for how old it is.
For a PS3 game, it looks ridiculously good.
Just like the gameplay didn't leave anything to be desired, man. It really nailed it with the gameplay. Like, I completely love this game. It's damn near perfect, honestly, for me. I think this game is legitimately getting a 9.5 Kojimas out of 10 Blade Wolves.
Nice.
This is going to be a front runner already for my Steamy Awards for 2023.
Starting off strong, huh?
This is absolutely a game I see myself going back and playing on multiple difficulties and stuff, and trying to get certain missions completed in certain ways. Like, I could see this being a game I revisit a lot, which is really awesome.
Oh, yeah. So, going into this with Raiden being one of my favorites, I had high expectations. They were all met. They were all exceeded. I had one complaint at one point in the game until I realized it was just me being an idiot. Because one thing that I learned in this game is when in doubt, slash it with your sword. Because, you can't figure out where to go? Just start hitting things with your sword, because eventually you'll realize you're going to slice through that fence, and then you can move on. Or when you're in this, when
I correctly operated the freight elevator for the first time, I was so happy that was the solution.
I'm trying to remember where Willie's at. Have you been where there's a bunch of water?
No, I don't think so. I'll just take my headphones off for a half second.
Okay, for a half second. Down in the sewer, when you're running around in the sewer, and I couldn't figure out where the fuck to go, ran all around, and then I realized, there's a weird miscolored wall over there, and I went over and hit it with my sword and could move on. So it's just like, there's just little things like that I would annoy me at first, but then I realized I was being an idiot.
Well, you have one tool.
Gotta use that video game logic, Dalton. Come on, buddy.
When all you have is a sword, everything looks like a bleeding heart that you can rip out of somebody and use to refuel your power. I
also appreciate just the level of detail they went into with, like, if you hit something with your sword, like a column. Like, if there was a dude up on this thing above you and you couldn't get up there to hit him, you could just cut that thing out from under him. Like, balconies and things. And it was so fun, man. So I am going to also give this 9 Raidens out of 10 Kojima May Cries.
This is an extremely highly rated game in the Steam Machine lore.
Yeah,
usually 8.5 is way above approval. Like 8.5 is y'all need to go play this now. 9 means y'all need to go buy
the price is right at this point.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that you guys were talking about how good this game looked for PS3 games. In my opinion, on the PlayStation, there were always 2 game series that were like, hey, this is what the PlayStation can do graphically. And it was always Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, absolutely agreed on both, man. Metal Gear Solid looked so realistic for a PS1 game. The Final Fantasy games were constantly pushing the boundaries so much.
Yeah.
Dude, and in my head, now obviously, I'm sure it does look dated nowadays, but in my head, I remember Metal Gear Solid 2 just looking so fucking good that I was just like, holy shit, it just blew my mind. And
I remember being blown away by how smooth everything moved in that game.
Yeah,
and how much physics it seemed like it had.
Down to when you're running the stairs, like Raiden individually steps on each stair. Like, it wasn't just a slope that you made your way up that had a fucking stair skin on it. You know what I mean? It's just little things like that Kojima does, where you can slip in bird shit. Like, it's just, I don't know. I love it. I love Kojima. I love Metal Gear games. I can't wait till we play some of the OGs, which I heard. So this is a good time to touch on this, and then we can move on to fan questions, and then possibly something that Dane has prepared for us. But so there's a rumor that some of the older Metal Gear games are going to be getting put on Steam. Now, there's 2 ways that you can think about this. One, it's probably going to be the ones that are already available on GOG. Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, right? It'll probably be those games. What if it's more? What if it's Metal Gear 3 as well? What if it's Metal Gear 4 as well? What if they put all the Metal Gear games on Steam?
What if it's Metal Gear Acid? Anyone remember that one?
Or Twin Snakes? Your boy would jizz his pants because Metal Gear 4 is locked to the PS3. It never came out on PS4. Like, it is the only way to play Metal Gear 4 is
and
on
hot
PS3.
take, my favorite Metal Gear Solid game.
Wow.
Dang.
Fun fact about Metal Gear 4. If you break down the time, how long that game is half gameplay, half cutscenes.
Not the way I play it.
Thanks, Kojima.
That's Kojima at his finest, man.
But I really, really, really like Metal Gear 3, or Metal Gear Solid 3. But again, that's one that came out on PlayStation 2. There might have been a PC release back in the day, but it hasn't been released again. And I don't know, man. Please just port those games to Steam.
Please.
Konami, please.
Stop with the pachinko. Give us more Metal Gear.
And Castlevania.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Dag nabbit. Hey, listen. When our podcast mentions it, sometimes it just happens to happen. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but we have a track record of bringing things up and then they happen. So let's like goodwill this into the stratosphere of more Castlevania and more Metal Gear.
We will fix Konami just by mentioning them. Hell yeah.
Yes.
We're doing your little company a favor on our show.
Dude, that reminds me of each and every time an episode of Mick Foley's podcast. He's always drinking a Zoa, which is The Rock's energy drink, and he'll take a sip of it. He's like, yeah, just trying to help out a buddy of mine, Dwayne. You know, he's not doing very well, so I figured we'd give the young guy a plug on here. You know, maybe he'll be something one day. All right, Nate, you are the questionnaire. So if you want to dive into the fan questions,
jump right into the mailbag. This one comes in from Kana. Will there ever be a TSMP After Dark where Dalton and or the boys play some adult games, possibly for Patreon? And I feel like that's been thrown about a few times, and Dalton has definitely mentioned talking about playing some games that Willie and me may not want to play and doing them as Patreon recordings. But Dalton, what do you think?
I may join in for a Patreon exclusive, actually.
Yeah, because that way we can talk about them, make fun of them, do whatever, but it's like we're not going to have some child looking for video game podcasts randomly. Like, we curse enough as it is. We don't, you know what I'm saying? But like for our patrons, you know, you could chip $1 and you would get those episodes. I believe it's $1 for all the extra stuff. I don't remember, but in any case, you would get. I really want to do that. I have been wanting to do that. Like Nate said, if anything, I could bug Jeremy. Like, he's always going to be down to see some titties. And Willie, like, you're welcome to join. Nate, I know you're hit and miss, and probably
it depends on the game.
Less about those types of games.
Game. We'll talk.
Yeah. Now, I find a hidden object game that's got some titties in it. We might talk.
Ooh.
It's like, the key you need is under her titty.
Locate one G spot.
All right.
And they didn't program a G spot in. So.
This was kind of a follow-up to that, and this one's from Jeff. And we had a big conversation about this actually in the questions chat on the Discord. It was like, here's a suggestion. Maybe instead of choosing the raunchiest game for After Dark, why don't you do a console game? Which is also something we've brought up doing before, because I think there's a lot of interest between the three of us of doing Golf Story for the Nintendo Switch as an episode for the show.
Yeah.
But my argument still stands that I feel like we would need to call that something different than After Dark.
Oh, we would, for sure.
Like, anytime we do a game on GOG, I always thought it'd be, I'm going to call it like TSMP GOG Complex. And then, you know, whatever the game is. Or if we did, like emulation, be like TSMP Emulation Nation or Emulation Station, and then do whatever the game is. So with After Dark being the porn related games and the adult related stuff, I would like to come up with something like a title for the console stuff. It would be easier to sort them out and trying to find it. But I'm down.
Me too. Because like I said, Golf Story is one we think we all want to play, and there's been times where I think we could have had fun doing a Pokemon episode together. You know what I mean? So there's definitely time we might be able to do that at some point. Your next question, I think this one's just for you, Dalton, comes in from the lovely Madakin Queen. Question number 1. When are we playing a game again? Thanks, I'll hang up and listen.
First time caller, long time listener. So my answer to that question, Steph, is Friday. Should be good. I know you mentioned this in our chat after you had already asked this question.
All right.
But I'm off this Friday, so we can try to work out.
This next one comes in from Master Luke. Have the memes accurately represented the characters of this game?
Now, Dane, I think you can get in on this one. I say yes.
I think so, too,
They've definitely boiled them down to just those key moments of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the memes are basically just the shit that happens in this game.
It's not that far off, so, like, yeah.
I was going to say, really, like, the memes may make it look ridiculous, but that's because it's
in the
ridiculous.
best possible
Which is
way,
why we
too.
love it at the Steam Machine Podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Our next one, also from Master Loot. Do you have any plans on revisiting Metal Gear Solid 4 after playing this? Like Dalton said, it's only on PS3, which is a system I have no access to. I would love to play that, but unfortunately I can't.
I don't know what the state of PS3 emulation is right now. I have a PS3. It doesn't get much use. I need to find a controller for it, but If we do end up doing it, I mean, it might be worth doing after a couple of them, just so we can at least hit a couple of the other games in the MGS series first. Because I don't know if everyone will be there for it.
I agree. So I'm going to put it out there, Willie. If you have a PS3 and just need to find a controller, and we could rope up a copy for that. I have 2 PS3s. One is jailbroken, and one is not jailbroken. So if we could rope down a copy of that, Nate, I'd be willing to send that to you. Like, just it, and that's if we decide to be like getting really into Metal Gear eventually and want to do that. But yeah, I would be up for that.
Okay, cool. This next question comes from Kana, and I'm just gonna say, repeat after me in the voice of your favorite character from a Metal Gear game. Like I said, this one comes from Kana. The question is Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
You were Snake, you were Otacon, or I was Otacon, you were Raiden.
I was Raiden as well.
You're also Raiden.
All right. Thanks, God. Great question. Moving on.
That was like our own little tropical camera.
Was. Good God. Shout out Tadpog. This next one comes in from Jeff. What are some games you tell yourself that you'll only play for an hour and then end up playing for more than 3 hours?
More games than not.
So for me, it tends to be online competitive games. Like, I've done this with Brawlhalla multiple times, Smash Bros. Ultimate multiple times. Willie and me have done this with Rocket League a few times. Like, games like that really rope me in. I've done that with Ultimate Fishing Simulator by myself a few times as well. I can see myself doing that with Forza Horizon 4 moving forward also.
I have lost so many
Dalton,
days.
I know for you it's WWE 2K Series, Fire Pro Wrestling.
Wrestling Empire. Also Forza Horizon 4. I'll be like, I'm going to do one. Earlier, I said I'm going to do one race, and I'll get ready. I did 2 races.
Willie, for you, it's every idle game ever made and Doom.
That was my answers. Yes, that was literally what I was going to say.
I know my co-host so well.
I was about to say, all right, Nate, do it for Dane now.
Dane.
Mystery round. For Dane, I think it's Honey Pop and Titty Clicker.
Not quite.
Dude, is there a game called Titty
For
Clicker?
Dane,
Why is there not a game called Titty Clicker?
It is single-player board games.
Yeah,
I don't really lose that kind of time on a board game because there's just too much mental bandwidth involved in it. I've lost so many damn days to Terraria. Just idly on that damn game.
That's... While I'm thinking of that, Minecraft for me as well. It's just one of those games where sometimes it's, especially if you're playing a modded thing, you're like, discover something new and find a bunch of new goals for yourself, and next thing you know, you've gone down the hole.
Yeah, I also will throw in life sims, like Harvestella or Stardew Valley. And I'll throw in No Man's Sky, whereas like, and Skyrim, where I'm just like going and doing things, and the next thing I know, it's been 3.5 hours, and I'm like, holy shit. I have to get ready for work. Where'd the time go?
This used to happen to me all the time with Civilization. I want to say 4 or 5. Like, I was terrible at being like, I'm just going to play a couple of turns, and then it's 8 hours later.
Dude, Civ... Okay, quick question for you. Playing Civ 5, did you ever play for so long that you went to sleep and you had dreams about playing Civ, and in your brain you were just playing Civilization? I used to have these anxiety-ridden dreams where I would wake up and my stomach would hurt to the point I threw up because I couldn't win the game of Civilization in my dream, and it was driving me fucking nuts for some reason. Like,
I have really easily influenced by stuff in my dreams. Like, I've had idle game dreams, which doesn't make any sense.
Those as well. I remember not too long ago, and this might be the reason why I haven't been playing it lately. I had NGU idle dreams that were driving me insane, and that I would like literally like my alarm would go off, I'd hit snooze on it because I needed to do something in NGU idle in my dream before I could get out of bed. So it's like, nope, I can't have this happening all the time.
I've had Beat Saber dreams before.
Literally. Oh, I bet. That's got to be very Tetris affecting.
The blocks, they were coming at me.
I had to slice them. Like
2 days ago, I'd watched a video where someone was talking a lot about like those pirate cartridges that have like 300 NES games in one. I ended up having a dream that was largely about like those games, specifically City Connection came up a lot, which I've never played.
That's funny. All right. And this last question comes in from Jeff. What franchise do you love that has the possibility of making a good JRPG?
So like a Yakuza Like a Dragon thing where they RPG as a spin-off or a new
That's what I feel like he's
series part?
asking, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So I have an answer that immediately jumps out to me because I think this would be really fun. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles JRPG. I feel like there's been so many video games for the Turtles that you could bake in cool movesets for all the different Turtles. And like their side characters like Casey Jones, April O'Neil, and Splinter. Like all of those characters could have cool movesets and things they could do with JRPG.
I feel like that would really suit itself to like a retro 16-bit style game, like one in the style of FF4 or even maybe.
Well, the thing about
Trigger.
Turtles games is they still make retro style Turtle games. Like Shredder's Revenge just came out. It's
Exactly.
like the perfect. It's literally the perfect series for something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to take you back to a time, gentlemen.
Are you going to take us back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass?
Yeah. What is that from?
The Angry Video Game Nerd.
That's
song.
right. That's right, dude. I was like, oh my god, that just rang a fucking bell in my brain. PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube. There was a little game that came out that was a Final Fantasy X clone called Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. And that game, in concept, proves to me that medieval JRPGs can be a viable thing. So might I pitch to you, sirs, a JRPG in the Witcher world?
Yep, that sounds perfect.
Ah, yeah.
That would be sweet.
Especially,
It doesn't even have to be Geralt.
especially if you had a Gwent mini
new
game
character.
built in. That's like your Final Fantasy IX card game.
Trippy Triad, yeah.
Fucking goddamn right, son. And fishing, they'd have to add some fishing, just because.
I think you nailed it. That's a good one.
This sounds really good.
What about you boys?
You know, I've been sitting here thinking.
I think that it would be fun to do a game that has a cast of characters and a good amount of mythology, but that isn't always, that isn't known to be a strong narrative series and get a chance to explore. And I know that this series has taken a couple of chances to explore its mythology and they've all done really terribly, but I think it's been long enough that maybe it's worth giving an RPG twist on Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. That was my second choice behind The Witcher, was thinking of a way to do it with
No
Mortal
kidding.
Kombat. Yeah. Because I want to do a Mortal Kombat style D&D game. And
Right.
that would work in the RPG elements. So like my brain's been hashing that out for like months and months. So I agree that would be really cool.
I just think there's such an expansive cast of characters that it would lend itself pretty well to having a lot to do with them.
Treat it like Suikoden. You gotta gather all the
Oh.
fucking people.
God.
I wasn't even thinking of it like that. I was thinking more of like a FF6 style thing where there's just
okay.
like a lot. There's a huge cast in that game,
I feel you. Yeah.
That game still has a ton of way too many playable characters though.
Dane looks like the thinking man right now.
You know what I think? I got one. Is a little ditty on the PS2 that I would love to see come back because it's been a dead franchise for a long time. Onimusha.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
dude.
Because they tried starting it up again with after they did Onimusha 3, and it just kind of killed the franchise. But I think in that world, they've got enough to work with that they could probably make a good JRPG with it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Quickly,
Yeah.
that gave me one more idea. Willie, you said that would be more like Final Fantasy VI for your choice, right? Think about this. Do a Suikoden style JRPG with the cast of Dynasty Warriors, because there are so many motherfuckers in Dynasty Warriors.
I really nearly said Dynasty Warriors up front, actually, but I actually had an NES game
Destiny of an
called Destiny of an Emperor. Thank you. That was actually a JRPG that was set in the Three Kingdoms period.
Oh, that's
I still have it.
I think it was by Koei. Yeah, I think it was by Koei too, or the same people that make the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and the Dynasty Warriors games.
Are either of you interested in that Wolong Fallen Dynasty game that's coming out? Because that looks pretty sweet too. That's another I think Romance of the Three Kingdoms era
I'm not familiar with it. I'll have to look it up.
game.
I'll get.
No.
Yeah, I'll just find out more.
All right.
Okay.
I think we're ready for Dane's special surprise.
So,
Oh, he pulled his dick
Oh
out.
no, this isn't what I was expecting at all. It's nice though.
so I have a question. Do you want to play a game? All right,
Oh,
Let's
yes.
do it.
gentlemen,
As long as there's no heroin needles to fall into.
I have prepared for you a Metal Gear themed eBay game. This is competitive. There will be a winner. All right.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I have scoured the bowels of eBay looking for Metal Gear merch, swag, collectibles, and accessories. And I've compiled for you a list of the 10 most interesting search results, which will make up today's questions. Okay. The game's going to be played over 3 rounds, 3 questions each, with a special bonus round at the end. I'm going to read you the name of the item, I'll give you a brief description, and you will attempt to correctly guess the price for the listing of this eBay item. I've rounded everything up to the nearest dollar. I did not include shipping, and I have used the buy now price when available. And if I found multiple entries for the same item, I used the most expensive one I could find. Remember, the internet is insane. Take this into account.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, points are going to be going to the person who has the closest guess, not closest without going over. We're not doing this Price is Right style. Only if it's a tiebreaker. That's the only time it's going to matter. So... And in the event that anyone guesses the exact price of an item to the dollar, you're going to net yourself a cool 5-point bonus. So, do you understand the rules?
Sweet. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's start.
Yep.
So, randomly selecting. All right. So, just randomly selecting. Dalton, you get to go first. So, you're going to make the first bid here.
All right.
And round 1, for the Metal Gear quiz on eBay, we have Upgrade Metal Gear RC car spare parts. We have an unbranded 16-piece set of Metal Gears suitable for WL Toys RC cars. This includes differential, transition, small bevel, and large and small planetary gears. The color is gray, though due to difference between monitors, the picture may not reflect actual color. So, how much do you think for a set of 16 Metal Gears for RC cars is going to run on eBay?
Oh, God, this took me a little while to figure out what the hell you were
Metal
talking
Gear on
about.
eBay. This is what popped up.
16 of them?
16.
Mm-hmm.
And the sizes range?
30.
38.
It's to the nearest dollar. So you want to go 38 or 39?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, then I'll go 39.
That's not too far off from what I was thinking, actually.
What do you think the price is going to be? Dalton said 39.
$12.
And Willie? 48.
48.
Actual price for the Metal Gears, $14. Point goes to Nate. So close, within $2 of it.
Yeah, boys.
All right.
I knew it wasn't that much metal, but I thought maybe the precise machining would make it more expensive than it was. And that RC hobbyists would probably overpay, you know. I was thinking of Pocket Circuit. I would pay anything for a Pocket Circuit part.
All right, so that was the silly one. The rest of the stuff is actually Metal Gear from Konami. So, Nate, you're going to take this one.
Okay. That was a good lead.
For the next guess, Konami Metal Gear Solid Rex cloth retail store hang from 1998. This is a very faded Yoji Shinkawa concept art of the Metal Gear Rex. It measures 42 inches by 30 inches and shows signs of use, including, according to the description, scratches, marks, nicks, wrinkles, stains, leftover tape adhesive, and an off-center crossbar. But overall, nice condition for its age. So, how much do you think this retail store hang from 1998 is going for?
So
it is a cloth advertising wall hang.
Okay. So, my guess first?
Yep, you get to go first.
$40.
$40. Willie, what do you think?
Honestly, the condition description has me. Like, there's so many things beating up on it that I'm going to give it 10.
Nate,
40.
40? I'm going to go
56. Closest to the actual asking price is Dalton. The price is $770 for a faded scratch stain. I'm telling you, the internet's insane.
It is. Okay.
So,
we poured tea on a drawing of Metal Gear, $500.
And you can just go ahead and assume that they've slapped the word rare all over all of these as well.
Yeah.
All right, so Willie, you're going to lead up the next round. So for the third one, we have the PSP Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Premium Pack, number 1 out of 2,500 from the Video Game Archives. So this is a mint-in-box MGS Portable Ops Collector's Edition, including a UMD copy of the game, a camo-skinned PSP, a snakeskin lanyard, and a snakeskin PSP slipcase, as well as a set of 3 metal lapel pins labeled Big Boss, generic Fox unit member, and Comrade. So I guess a Russian dude in a ski mask. And as I said, this is unit numbered 1 out of 2,500, and it is the Japanese release of the game. So
this is the actual game.
New in box, sealed.
Is it sealed? What
it is like in an archival storage thing.
Oh,
this thing is
God.
just to the teeth.
I am really... I know this is going to sound ridiculous, and I have no idea what things are worth, but there's so many things going on in this that I'm just going to say it's $20,000.
$20,000. Starting high. All right, Dalton, what do you think it's going to end up being? 700?
700.
Just 700 or 700,000? The internet is insane. That's why I have to ask this question.
Oh. You know what? I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go 1,200.
Okay.
We'll go 1,200.
And Nate, what's your guess?
$1,999.
$1,999. And the closest in the guess was actually Nate, $7,500. Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I need to remember that this is eBay and not price charting.
All right.
Okay.
This brings us to round 2.
Get the
So this time the points will be doubled. So it's still anybody's game. Current scoring, Dalton has 1, Nate has 2, Willie is rocking the donut.
Yeah, rock that donut, son.
All right, so this time around, we're going to start off with Nate getting the first shot. So we have the Metal Gear Rising Raiden Mini Sword letter opener in a damaged box.
Aww.
In a damaged box. Okay.
Description, since you don't get to see a picture of it. The handle looks like it has a wooden finish. It lists the materials it is made out of as plastic. And it only has the most passing resemblance to Raiden's actual HF blade from the game. So, for this mini sword lead opener in a damaged box, what do you think that's going for, Nate?
$250.
And Willie, what do you think it's going for?
I'm gonna be honest, man. That started off sounding great. Through damaged box, I was like, I won one, and then every word after that, like, just got worse and worse.
$25.
I'm gonna put it on 25.
And out.
Oh man, I hate to do this to Willie, but I was going to say $20, so I'm going to say $20. We'll be right there.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So, carry the 2. All right. Actual retail price goes to Willie. You're on the board, $120.
Wow.
So, Willie, that
All
puts you in tie with Nate for first place right now.
Goddamn.
All right, so
Let's go.
No more
donuts.
I'm a loser, baby.
All right. So, Willie, you get the first guess on this one. We have, from 1999, a Metal Gear Solid MGS promo large box display. So this is a large replica box of the actual PS1 Metal Gear Solid game. It displays the label for the PAL region of the original MGS. It measures 55.5 by 47 by 10 centimeters, whatever that means. And just as a fun fact, shipping on it is $80 because, and I quote, $80 shipping because it's so big for a empty cardboard box. So, what do you think the price is for this large promotional display box from 1999?
Okay. You said it's
55 and a half by 47 by 10.
Okay, 55. Okay, so that's not,
No, it's not
enormous. Honestly, that's like 1.5 feet tall. That's bigger than a video game box. I do not understand the purpose of this
Apparently it was for
object.
displaying in game retail.
In case you needed a slightly larger box to put next to the box that has the video game in it. I am going to say it's $38 for
Dalton?
no rhyme or reason.
$60 and Nate.
$60.
Sorry, Dalton, but I'd already decided this a while ago. $69.
Nice.
Nice.
Which means Nate gets the point, $1,000.
Oh my god.
The internet's insane.
$1,000. But we're going to charge you $80 to ship it because this is a big box.
You know, the shipping should have been a giveaway.
I thought it was going to be one of those things where the
really
shipping was
high.
higher than the actual item.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right, which brings us back around to Dalton. For you, sir, we have a Metal Gear Solid Snake cosplay costume with belts, set, men Halloween outfit. There is no description, but it is from Halo Cosplay. And judging from the picture, it seems to be made from fuzzy fabric. It appears to be genuine nylon knee pads and vest. And the model also was wearing a seductive gaze in addition to black lace-up sneakers, which do not appear to be part of the actual costume. So, what do you think this cosplay costume with belt set would go for?
Because of how things have been
250?
going, dude, $250.
Nate, what you think?
I feel like this is more of an Etsy store type of thing that they're trying to sell on eBay. And I know how those Etsy cosplay people go. This is $1,500.
$1,500. And Willie, what do you think?
Again, because it's a cosplay thing, I mean, it could get really high. This doesn't sound like it's made with super high-end materials. So I'm going to go lower than Nate and put it around $450.
Yeah,
I think that puts me in the middle of the three of us.
Actual retail value, $95. It goes to Dalton.
Oh, I should have gone with my first instinct. Dalton started high and I got crazy.
Never trust a hoe.
And that brings us to round 3. Current standing, we have Dalton with 3, Nate in the lead with 4, and Willie bringing up the rear with 2. But this time, points are tripled, so 3 points apiece. So, still anybody's game. So for the first round, we're going to start with Willie this time around. We have a Metal Gear Rex and classified mech for Metal Gear Solid 3 Papercraft set. This is a rare, unassembled promotional material from the 2003 Tokyo Game Show, which was released for the Twin Snakes and upcoming Snake Eater. It features 7 A4-size sheets of paper, including Japanese instructions for 2 paper Metal Gears in a large red envelope. Also,
a paper gear.
Paper gear. Also, very important to the seller, it also includes a Twin Snake sticker because he mentions it in every fucking line of the listing. So, how much do you think?
A fucking sticker.
Papercraft with sticker. And sticker. There's a sticker with always W/sticker, no spaces. Every single time. So,
L at
so
K.
what do you
sticker.
think for this Tokyo Game Show promotional Papercraft set?
This is another thing that sounds really cool, and I have no idea how to value it. You've given me way too much information. Like, the thing about it being from the actual Tokyo Game Show makes it seem like it actually is a legit collectible is the thing that's killing me. But I really don't know what Papercraft instructions are worth in the first place.
Well, it's got printouts of things, you cut that out, and then you glue it together.
Yeah. I'm not into this hobby. I don't have any idea. I'm going to give it the random skeptical, this sounds like a collector and I don't know what to do with it, value of $395.
Dalton, where are you standing on it?
I'm going to go with a cool, clean, demonic $666.
Oh, nice. I'm the only one that hasn't done a meme number now.
I'm going to run up the middle with $550.
Actual retail value for 7 sheets of paper, $113. It goes to Willie.
All right.
They're good papers, Brent.
All right. So, up next, back to the actual game of the show, we have the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance high-frequency plasma lamp light. So this is a plasma lamp where the coil is a scale replica of the handle for Raiden's HF blade from the game. Pluses, this one actually looks like the sword. It features the game logo on the base and measures about 14 inches tall. So we'll start with Dalton. What do you think the asking price is for the high-frequency plasma lamp?
Can I ask a question, though? Is a plasma lamp...
No, it's one of those, like, the big ball with shoots electricity on the inside and you can touch it.
You put your fingers on it.
But instead of the
okay.
thing in the middle, it's a handle for Raiden's sword.
Oh, that's cool. And
this is some real Spencer's Gifts ass shit.
And did it give you size dimensions?
14 inches tall. That's all I was really able to surmise from it.
Okay. Man,
Dalton is alternating between like using his hand to visualize measuring something and then putting in his mouth to think.
Yeah, I was like, let's go $97
from Dalton. Nate, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's 120.
120.
Well, we all have about the same vibes on this one. I thought it was, and I'm still going to say my initial answer, $95.
Damn, sandwich me
That's
right
why I made
there
that
in the
face.
middle.
Yeah, well, if it's just slightly more than what I thought, you got it.
Actual retail value of a high-frequency blade plasma lamplight, $255. The point goes to Nate with 120.
Damn it! I can't win though.
Aw, rip.
Hey, we still got the special final round. Anything could happen here.
Okay.
All right, so who went first that time? Was it Dalton?
Yeah.
All right. So, Nate, this one goes to you. This is the only one that did not have a buy it now price. So I'll throw that out there. So we're going by starting bid on this one.
Okay.
PS2 game lot number 97. This is a lot of 5 PlayStation 2 game discs. No boxes are included. It includes State of Emergency, SSX3, Snowcross 2, and greatest hits versions of Grand Theft Auto 3 and Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. The item description lists the game name as Guitar Hero 2, which is not featured in the list. And as I said, this is a starting bid. There is no buy it now option, so take that into account with your guess.
That doesn't sound like a particularly rare set of games, but knowing how the internet pricing on the video game market works, I generally work with older games than this, but I am going to put my money at $120.
$120? All right, Willie, what you thinking?
$42.
The ultimate answer. And Dalton.
Yeah. I had to do
And
a
what do you
mean
think,
number.
Dalton?
Okay, so I'm trying to judge like what I know about PlayStation 2 game rarity versus those particular games. And you said they were the greatest hits versions of Grand Theft Auto 3
correct.
and Metal Gear Solid 2.
Red Label.
Greatest hits versions. That makes a difference. No boxes, just discs, but people are fucking stupid. So, I'm gonna guess the starting bid for that lot is like, again, Willie, I hate to do this to you. It's like $47.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I have the $1 option now,
Yeah, all right.
basically.
So, starting bid for State of Emergency, SSX3, Snowcross 2, and GTF 3 and Metal Gear Solid 2.
What is
Sounds like a
Snowcross 3?
snowboarding game.
It's a snowmobile.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before this.
Oh.
Snowmobile racing.
Starting bid is $7. The points goes to Willie.
Nicely done.
I had to throw one in there that was just ridiculously low.
Yeah.
So,
I was basically leading on the it's a starting
I
bids,
think-
and it's a lot, so they probably didn't carefully
Yeah.
start it, you know?
If I remember correctly, like if you have the box and stuff, I mean, you'd have to get the box too, but State of Emergency is not like super cheap. But
all right, so that brings us to the final round. So, rules are slightly different. Instead of taking turns so that everyone has the option to screw over one another, want to do the votes in secret. So, type it up, send it to me in a DM. We'll let Truncate Silence take care of all the voting. And since game balance is very important, right now, Dalton is way behind right now with only 3 points. Nate has 7, and Willie's in the lead with 8. So, obviously, for a fourth and final round this important, it's going to be worth 10,000 points. So everything up till now has now been negated. I hope you enjoyed the passage of your time.
I did. It was wonderful.
For our final entry, we have PlayStation 3 version of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance's premium package. This is just like the PSP one that we did earlier, except Metal Gear Rising and is for the PS3. This is directly from the seller's description. Item title, description. Your item description will be inserted here. Payment. Your payment details will be inserted here. Shipping. Your shipping details will be inserted here, etc., etc. I did look this up on a separate website to find out what actually is inside this box. So it is a double-sized collector's edition box Inside of another box, both with lots of artwork on them, there is a copy of the game for the PS3, a steel box copy of the soundtrack, a full-color art book, and 2 Dwarf Gecko figurines with an assortment of hands, which also split in half as though they've been cut with a sword. So
nice.
So everybody, go ahead and DM me your guesses for the price of this wonderful, wonderful steel, really.
Yeah. Steel box, you mean?
Hi-oh!
Okay.
I've got mine in.
I'm in.
Reach for the sky, boy.
Alright. Well, gentlemen, well, this was a close call. One of you came within $20 of the actual price. So, I'm going to give you all, just so you know where everyone's standing. Dalton, you guessed $7,500. Nate guessed $12,042, or $1,242. And Willie guessed $369.
Nice.
Nice. Damn girl fine.
369. Damn she fine. Yeah.
Like throw me one more. I'm getting low.
Get low.
Actual.
Well, we're at 420, blaze it.
Actual price for the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance Premium Package Limited. $350. It goes to Willie for the win.
Hey. GG's.
Wow.
The guy who was actually in lead of
Fun
points
fact,
won the game.
I was actually going to type 349, and then I decided to change it to a funny number at the last second. I was almost within one.
Dude, that's like something, I don't know if I'd spend $350 on it, but like if that had been like $150, that probably would have
pretty cool.
Snagged.
That's what I was thinking. It sounded like a really good package, and I could see it being like really reasonable at exactly 1/3 that price. So that's kind of just what I did, is multiply
now, for
what
that
I thought I would
exact
pay
same
for it by
set,
3.
There are several entries that list it for like $80. So this is definitely the most expensive person asking for it, and they still didn't even come within an order of magnitude of the one for the PSP. So, this game does not get a lot of love.
Wow, but
that's crazy.
$80 for a steel box and 2 figures that cut in half that have different hands. Like, that's cool, dude. Like, what the fuck?
All right, good game, Dane. Thanks a lot for doing that, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for
that. Yeah, that was a blast. I was hoping for something like that. And
well,
that was
congratulations.
exactly
Guess what, Willie? You have won a copy of the home
fun.
game. So I will send you this text document. Congratulations. Yay! I hope you enjoy it.
I thought the home game was just, I have to look shit up on eBay for myself. Close my eyes and then guess how much it costs.
I have to tell you guys, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but Willie went, yay, and put his fist up, and then his camera froze. And it was like, in my head, my brain's like, don't you forget about
He did a freeze frame there for a minute.
That's awesome.
He did. So before we get into house cleaning and getting up out of here, we have one thing left to address, and that is one Turtle Bear Man's host pick, because he is the one who is up next in the choice.
Yeah.
So Nate, what is going to be your?
So I debated on a few with this one. One of the ones that jumped out to me was one that I don't own, but then I decided not to because I don't feel like paying the money for it, which was The Last of Us, because I'm planning on starting to watch the television series. So, but I decided against that one. Another one that really jumped out is one that me and you have been playing a lot lately, Dalton, and just to give us an excuse to play nothing but that for the next week, which was Forza Horizon 4, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that one either. So instead, I decided to jump into a series that we have yet to play for the Steam Machine podcast. I had a lot of choices I could go between. One, which is the worst game, one of the worst games in the series, which I really thought about doing, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that to him. Another one is one of the greatest games in the series, but like, I've played this game like 50,000 times. I want to play one I haven't played. So I went with a game in the series that is considered one of the greatest that I haven't played. Fellers, we're playing Sonic Generations.
All right.
I'm happy with that.
All right, dude. I haven't played a Sonic game in years. This is a 3D one too, right? This will be my first 3D Sonic
do it.
I take that back. I rented Shadow the Hedgehog.
That barely counts.
Dane loves that one.
And
damn,
it was interesting. I like the character Shadow, but yeah.
Does.
He has a gun. And he says,
Damn,
damn.
And isn't the
so-
good ending like him
Yeah,
killing
so-
Sonic or something?
Edgy, so edgy and cool.
Yeah, it's a Sonic Generation, so get ready for that one. I felt like we needed a Sonic game on this podcast.
That's awesome.
All right, so then we will be back in 2 weeks with some Sonic Generations. And on that point, let's roll into the house cleaning, as I like to call it. If you would like to come join the Discord, because really I used to plug the social media here, but really the only place that matters is the Discord. Come join. We would love to have all of the listeners that I see in our analytics come hang out and talk. bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Click, it'll send you, like, you type that in, boom, gives you an invite to the Discord. Come join the shenanigans. If you want to check out the website, it's behind. I apologize. My life has gotten very busy lately. bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast. If you would like to support the show, which would mean the world to me, especially because they've been cutting hours at work, patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast, where $1 a week will get you the episodes early, ad-free, and if you donate $10 or more, you get your name read out at the end of each and every episode, like these wonderful people: Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper, Jeff the Original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, Old Cranky himself, Jeffy Lube. I almost called him Cranky Kong. Arisa Adam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction. James the Steam Machine Hall, Monitor Hall. Team Retro, go check him out on YouTube. And Dane, I need a nickname for you, because I don't want to call you Mr. Puzzles, because that's trademark.
Dude, I've
Tadpog.
took ownership of Mr. Puzzles.
So-
I'm hip to sticking with Mr. Puzzles.
Oh, well then there you go. Then
Yeah, that
Mr.
guy's a
Puzzles
dick.
Dane himself.
Yeah, fuck him, right?
So thank you all very, very much. Also, shout out to Yavspod, yet another BS podcast that I do weekly with my buddy Jeremy, the villain in TSMP lore. Also, shout out to the JRPG Report, which is a weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, depending on the amount of news, JRPG news show that I do. That's a good time. That show's family friendly. You can listen to it around your kids, I promise. I wouldn't recommend that with either of the other shows, but being at this one or Yavspod, if you would like a shirt, which I would like to try to start getting some more designs up there. I've thought about taking some of Jeremy's Yabspod photoshops and making shirts out of them and putting them up there if anybody's interested in that. tsmpproductions.threadless.com. If you want to check out my music, it's nileothenightmare.bandcamp.com. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. That would mean the world to us, especially iTunes. Gentlemen, is there anything that you would like to plug? Let's start with Nate.
I'm good, brother.
No. Willie? Dane, would you like to plug anything?
Everybody go subscribe to Tadpog's YouTube channel. Get them up to 1,000 so that they can finally monetize that stuff.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm up there. Let's go.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah, Tyler's been doing a lot more streaming lately, which is really cool because I kind of missed the Tadpog boys doing their streaming. I don't remember what game he's playing right now because I've missed the last few.
Yeah, War of the Lions. I
War of
think
the
he's doing a
Lions.
mod version.
I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
for anyone
that's
who
right.
doesn't
Fantasy
realize,
Okay.
I spend literal minutes a week helping maintain their YouTube channel. So I have a personal vested interest in it.
I really appreciate that because it has the official auto transcript thing, so I can actually search the auto transcript whenever it gets uploaded. And if I had a spot I tried to find when I get home, I could actually use that to get the timestamp of it.
And a quick little fun story to end on. I'm catching up on Tadpog currently, so I've been using the YouTube to catch up on it. So I was sitting in my chair, particularly baked, taking a rip off my oil pen, and happened to, out of the side of my eye, see something. So I looked over at the YouTube video, and the pixel art of Tyler and Dave started blinking at me. And I thought that I was hallucinating for a minute before I realized, oh, okay, they must have edited that into the video. And so I messaged Dane about it, and he's like, yeah, that's one of my little touches. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
I have waited so long for someone to notice
Well, on that
that.
note,
That just
well, then-
made my night.
Oh, yeah, man. Dude, it tripped me the fuck out. It did. I loved it, though, because I was like, that's such a cool little touch. And you heard it here first on the Steam Machine podcast and not
Take
Tadpog.
that,
Ha!
Tyrone and Dave and
No.
Schmian.
But yes, shout out Tyler and Dave, Andy, and Play Old Games. Yeah, till next time, where we talk about a fast blue hedgehog. So nice the hedge pig. Take it easy.
Nanobots, son.